My name's Mitigate, and I've been following the guy for a long time, but I don't typically make content about the guy. But I have been this past, I don't know, 3-4 days now because I've been sick and stuck at home and I needed something to do. That being said, I'm feeling so much better. My fever broke the night before last. And so last night I got like the first real sleep since I've been doing this. So hopefully my commentary will be a little better. And also hopefully the content from the guy will be a little better because, man, yesterday was just a pedestrian performance, I think, from both of us. So pretty shortly here, we'll drop in on the guy and see what he's up to today. So we have, as you can see, we have plenty of skip juice. So we'll just go ahead and skip forward a little bit here. I hope that we're all ready for some meaningful content. And I'm already bored. I told myself before I started doing this that I wasn't going to up the playback speed. We're gonna try to keep it no higher than 1 1/4. I don't think I'm going to be able to keep that, but that's the current goal, is not to run the guy faster than that.
Of an awesome streaming week, and today we saved the best for last because it is time for a real full modded playthrough of a game for the very first time with my brand new setup. I am very excited to bring you a modded version of Dark Souls 1 starting today. But in addition to that, I've got updates regarding my year-end series, regarding the upcoming new wrestling commentary show. We got chill vibes. It's Friday. It's my final consecutive streaming day of the week, but it's still hype. Prepare your butts for a very nice, relaxing, and hype-filled episode of the Level 1 Podcast.
Okay, so the cold open is like typically really dented. And as much as I hate to compliment the guy, that one wasn't half bad. I feel like if I saw that on someone who was, like a different creator, especially someone who has 150 viewers, I think I would be I feel like I'd be pretty okay with that, right? Like it's DSP, so like I'm less okay with it. But if I just happened to run into a streamer with 200 viewers and that was the opening with which I was presented, obviously you have to ignore the bullshit in the background, right? Because that is dumb, and it will never stop being dumb. But up until the whole like, I need to stop looking at the camera to find the keypad on the Steam Deck and then reach my arm out and press the hotkey to finish the cold open. That actually wasn't half bad. And also, maybe it's the RGBs, but the guy looks like he actually has some color in his skin today. So maybe that's why I'm feeling optimistic.
Folks, good morning and welcome to the show. I'm DSP. This is the Level 1 Podcast for Friday, the 3rd of January, 2025. Man, it feels like that fall flew by, doesn't it? It sure does, doesn't it? It's like, wait a minute. It's January? It's 2025? We're a few days in already? What is going on? I know. But I'm surely excited for today. Today's going to be a great one. As you can see, every day I'm trying to really perfect this mic positioning. And again, now I'm blocking the portal gun.
Okay, well, the good feelings I had from the cold open are now gone because we're back to fucking with the microphone again.
So I'm still trying to like find the perfect spot so that you can hear me, but I'm not blocking the set. I don't know. I'm sure I'll figure it out after like another 7-8 weeks of messing with it, right?
See, I think this might be a task for all of the LARPers out there, but I think maybe what we really need to do is convince DSP that he needs a boom mic. Right? Like the kind of mic that they use in films that there's a guy that just holds above the actors' heads so that you can record the audio, but it's not in frame. I think that's what DSP needs, you guys.
Anyway, welcome to the show. How is everyone? Hope I find you well. I'm in a good mood today because today we're doing some fun and special stuff. Maybe, hold on. What about that?
Okay, you thought we were done fucking with the mic. We were not done fucking with the mic.
maybe this is the way to go. Let's try this today. You guys let me know how this sounds. Maybe this will sound even better because it's like pointed directly at my mouth. Okay, anyway.
Did you guys know that having the mic pointed at and near your mouth makes your voice sound better?
First of all, me returning to the game that started it all, Dark Souls 1, a game that I've probably done more playthroughs of than a lot of games. I remember I played the original run, the handheld guided tour by...
Okay, so I don't know how true this is, but I just happened to see this comment from longtime lurker here in DSP's chat, YouTube chat. Your collaborator and friend, PPP, called us all regards on Twitter, and it honestly upset me. I don't know if that's true, but just reading this LARPer comment just really put a smile on my face.
People who I summoned, then there was the redemption run, and then if I remember correctly, there was the remastered run, correct? So I think I have played.
So of course, you know, before we do anything, we have to start with a history lesson. Because as I've said previously, the guy, nothing ever happens that's interesting to or with the guy. So we live in the past, and all we have to talk about are things that have happened previously on the content, things that are happening currently on the content, or things that we would like to have happen on the content in the future.
Great. Good new addition, good improvement. And I've never really, in my entire history as a YouTuber,
T-pose
game.
So this sounds a lot like a kind of like, almost like a setup segment. Like this is like a I've never done this before, and I'm doing it now for the first time. So you should give me ass pats. Like this is along that same flavor of you know, I never gave a shit about how I looked on stream before, but now I do. So now like look how much I've improved, you guys. Like that's where this is going, I think.
And both of them are Fallout. You know, the first was Fallout 4 back in the day when it was on Xbox One, had mods enabled after a certain period of time.
So we're still in the history lesson. I am very much fighting the urge to skip it.
And last year, where I just put in the, what do they call it, like the official patch that supposedly fixed a lot of the bugs and tweaks and made it a little bit more of a polished experience. But that's all it was. It was nothing major. And then
the warm tone RGBs are really helping him look more like a human. It's really like bringing out the tone in the skin suit. This might be like if DSP ever watched back his footage, like he might realize this might be the play.
So
he won't, but
because I think that trying out Dark Souls 1 with these mods that we're going to be messing with, I think is going to make it a defining experience. What do I mean by that? Well, what mods are we using? Allow me to clarify.
Okay, so DSP is about to recap what happened yesterday on the podcast, and presumably he talked about this on the Daily Crap, but I don't watch those. But when last we left off, you know, last time on Beggar Ball Z, DSP had installed, I think, one mod, and then he needed to install another mod, and then there was a problem with that. It was either people in his chat or he got like one of the how-to pages on Mod Nexus said that like this mod needs to be installed before you install other mods, and he had like fucked up that order. So it remains to be seen whether this is like that's actually what happened. And if it did happen, if DSP fixed it, or if he has decided, like if he just did nothing since last we checked in, and now we're going to have to like fix it on the fly.
Fine. So first of all, we're using a mod that's called Dark Souls 1 Remastered. If you don't remember, many years ago, they remastered Dark Souls 1 for modern consoles and PC, adding up to 60 frames per second, animation, and lots of like graphical and lighting.
Still history lesson.
Critical of it.
Fighting the urge to skip.
Remastered, it doesn't even look that good. You know, like you spent all this time having us redoing the game. We all rebought it, and it's just not that good. So of course, immediately.
Maybe my memory's fuzzy, but wasn't Dark Souls Remastered like wasn't that the first PC release? I don't remember, but I seem to recall, like I remember playing Dark Souls, and I remember when the Dark Souls like remastered came out, and for whatever reason, that was when it was first on my radar that game was available on PC. So like if that's true, and I don't know if it is, and I'm too lazy to go look it up, but if that's true, like that would make the Dark Souls remastered release, if it's the first availability on PC, that would make it a big deal.
That makes me a beta tester. You know, mods are free. Mods are a community that's not time tested. It's people download them, install them, and then play them and find the issues. Tell the modder, and then the modder might patch that thing later. So very well today, when we're playing, we may see some issues with the graphics, you know.
Okay, so DSP is prepping us for technical issues involved in playing modded Dark Souls. So I feel like I'm trying not to pause, but I feel like I need to because he's going to get too far ahead of me. But to kind of like finish my thought about Dark Souls 1, like Dark Souls 1 is not like a great looking game. And like, don't get it twisted. I love Dark Souls 1. It's one of the first video games that I like really fell in love with and played, you know, hundreds and hundreds of hours. But like it's kind of meant to take place in an ugly world. So like there are, you know, great views and stuff within Dark Souls, but Dark Souls is not supposed to be like, it's supposed to be kind of like ugly and gritty. Like that's the intent behind it. And a lot of the textures that are in the game kind of reflect that. A lot of them are like green, brown, gray, muddy kind of textures because that's the vibe the game is trying to evoke. So if the guy is sitting here telling me that the remastered version of Dark Souls didn't make it look all that much better, it would not surprise me if he is like conflating like the quality of a texture and the character that a texture is trying to deliver to the viewer, right? Like that is not a nuance that DSP would understand. So I feel like that's where this is coming from, but let's continue.
Maybe not. You know, we played just a couple minutes of the intro yesterday. It looked amazing. It actually it looks like a different game. You know, it's just like the walls are wet with, you know, like dungeon condensation.
It doesn't look like a different game.
2011 PS3 looked chunky and bad and awful frame rate to this is going to be just groundbreakingly crazy.
Like I'm sure the mod looks better, but like watching him play it a little bit the other day. Okay, I have to pause again. Watching him play it a little bit the other day, that like, you know, that looked pretty similar to like other people I've seen play Dark Souls online.
Light mod update. Now, I admit I was a little bit I wasn't misinformed, I was confused. This mod is not a full reimagining of the game from the ground up. It is not, oh, the whole game's redone, all the bosses are new. It's not that, okay? What it is that they have taken the game and they have modified many aspects of it, including added new classes, new weapons, new fighting animations, responsive controls. I'm going to repeat that. Ladies and gentlemen, you will never believe it. Responsive controls in a Dark Souls game.
Please laugh.
Yes. Meaning, if you press the dodge button, the character will dodge.
Okay, so I have to pause again. DSP loves to complain about like the game not doing, like not feeling his, like not taking his inputs. And this is something he bitches about in literally every game he plays. Like, well, that requires like timed inputs, right? So this is a very common complaint when it comes to fighting games. He says it all the time. The whole move didn't come out, or I can't block. I was blocking. But Dark Souls is one of those games, especially like I haven't played the other ones in the series. It's been on my to-do list, but I just have so little time for games. Dark Souls is one of those games, like fighting games, that it will ignore your inputs if you're doing them at the wrong time. So like if you're using the big two-handed sword, the Zweihander, right, and you swing it, right, and you hit the swing button again before your character has completed the animation for the first swing, the input doesn't, it doesn't queue. Well, excuse me, it does queue, but it doesn't happen instantaneously. And so like that nuance to control inputs is one of the things that really punishes lazy gamers like this guy right here, right? So like if you're fighting a creature in Dark Souls 1 and you're just slamming the light attack key, right? And you've end up, because like, oh, you're stressed out and you're trying to do as much damage as you can before the boss kills you. Like the first swing completes, and then the second swing completes, but you still have 3 or 4 more swing inputs queued, but then you need to dodge. And so then you try to dodge. Well, your character is going to do the next queued input, which is the third swing. And then you get knocked out of that animation because you weren't able to dodge and the boss hits you. That's the kind of thing that happens. And then DSP goes, I was dodging. And then, the complaints issue forth. But the controls are really responsive. Like the whole like the one of the greatest things about Dark Souls was the PvP. And like it wasn't perfect, and no game is, right? Sorry, I have to sneeze. One of the great things about Dark Souls 1 was the PvP. The PvP was a little janky, but the jankiness actually kind of made the PvP better, right? So Dark Souls 1 toggle what did they call it? It was toggle breaking, toggle swapping, right? People in PvP figured out that if you had been hit and your poise had broke, you could regain control of your character by toggling your right hand weapon, right? And so that wasn't something that the game developers intended, but in my opinion, it made PvP more fun and interesting. And so like to say that Dark Souls just doesn't have responsive controls, like you can't have a game with engaging PvP that doesn't have responsive controls. Like I find it very hard to believe that those two things can be true simultaneously.
It's almost like if they had that in the games from the get-go, you might have liked them more. But, you know.
Would have liked the game more. People loved Dark Souls 1.
Anymore. They'll just dodge when you
press. It was the greatest. Like Dark Souls 1 was a huge hit.
It's more responsive and more in line with an action game. Okay? When you roll, you actually will roll in a general direction and not get fumbling around and stuff like that.
Time for another liquid death. Still on the severed lime. It's probably my favorite flavor that I've tried.
So basically the game is a lot more controllable, okay?
And this guy complaining about not being able to control the direction of your rolls. I played the original Dark Souls on Xbox 360. That was never an issue. You input the direction that you want to roll and you press the roll button and then you roll in that direction.
Difficulty challenges, checks.
Like most problems when it comes to DSP's gameplay, the actual problem resides between the chair and the controller.
They have to release the button to roll. Your inputs, are kind of stacked and delayed. That's one of the things about the game that's unique. Well, get this. Because they improved the combat engine and added new weapons.
And I'm sorry that I keep pausing and unpausing because again, I'm trying not to speed the guy up, and I don't want to be here forever, but like the man just blabs on incessantly underneath me, and I feel like I'm gonna miss something if I don't. So like the whole complaining that in order to do an action you have to press a button. And then his complaint is that he doesn't complete the button press, and so the game doesn't do the action that he wants, right? So he's saying that he wants to dodge, and because he's such a shitty gamer, he presses the dodge button but does not release it, and therefore not completing the input. And that's like a problem that the game has, and not a problem that he should adapt to solve, right? And like in Dark Souls, again, the inputs are really responsive. So like you don't want to linger on button presses. You want to press the button and confirm the input, and then release the button, thereby completing the input so that you can be prepared for the next input window. And especially as a guy that has played fighting games so long, doesn't get this, it just boggles my mind. Maybe it's because you can do, I don't play fighting games, but it's my understanding you can do like input buffering things where you do like part of an input and you like hold that input during the game, and then you complete the you like press like the last key or release the last key, and then the whole string, it acts like the whole string had been input simultaneously. Maybe that's where his hang up is, and he expects a game that is not a fighting game to behave the same way that some fighting games have behaved in the past. I think I'm getting too deep on it, but I think the takeaway here is that the guy is an idiot.
The new combat abilities, they made the game harder. And if you want an example of what I'm talking about, yesterday on this very podcast, okay, I did the intro with just the remastered patch, which is graphical.
I think that was a sneaky snort.
With the Age of Sunlight patch applied. Take a look at my boss fight against the the Asylum Demon. In the first run, I did a plunging attack on him, and because I landed it, it did 50% damage. In the second run, I landed the plunging attack, and it only did 25% damage. So what they've done is they have increased the level of health of every enemy. They've increased the damage output of every enemy. They actually made the game significantly harder to adjust for the fact that the game controls better. So it really is going to feel like a different experience for me, because even though I'll have better rolling, better combat.
I'm kind of ready to get off of this, so I'm just going to let the guy talk, and I'm not going to interrupt him unless he says something particularly like egregious.
Was playing this yesterday now because they saw me, doing it. They wanted to test it. They said they got to the Taurus Demon. Immediately, the Taurus Demon started doing new attacks and animations that aren't in the original game. And you're like, whoa, what the hell? Like, how do I dodge it? What is this? So it's like playing the game for the first time again. How neat is that? So I'm down for that. Like, I'm really excited for this now. And I can 100% tell you, I'm picking a new class. I want to start with a class that's newly designed for this run. I don't want to just go, oh, Cleric again, or oh, Magic build spam. No, I want to do something different. So we'll see what classes there are. However, I'm heavily leaning towards the Ninja class. There is a class that dresses you up like Ninja Gaiden. And basically, it's kind of like, ninja swords like the Uchigatana, but also heavy parry-based class. Parrying in Dark Souls 1. Something I don't think I've ever done. Okay? So you want to talk about a different run that's going to feel completely changed from anything I've ever done in this game before? This will be the run. You know what I'm excited for? All the parts of the game that historically just run like crap. Remember the first time you run into the Hydras in the forest with the crystal dudes in front and it just chugs along? Or the Crystal Caverns or Sea of the Scaleless, or hell, Blight Town? Now these are going to run silky smooth with modernized lighting and graphics. I can't wait to see what it looks like and plays like, honestly. Like, I'm very stoked for this. So I hope that you guys are excited as well. However, I just want to forewarn everyone. It's mods. And everyone has been saying this all along. Mods have a high potential for something to go wrong. And so, be prepared today that while we're playing this, it might crash. We might have weird glitches. Like someone has already said that in certain situations, the enemies start T-posing after you kill them. It was funny. Last night, I was doing a quick testing run to see if the mods would work after I had fully installed. Because by the way, just for the record, last night I actually did go back and I clean installed. Like I deleted Dark Souls Remastered.
The need to skip ahead rising so quickly here.
To make sure it was a clean install and it wasn't going to like have any conflicts or anything.
And I guarantee. Okay, so he did fix the mod install issue that he did.
With the Uchigatana, and the enemy flew through the air doing a cartwheel. I was like,
this guy loves talking about glitches in games, and
because we're using these mods,
I think there's a couple reasons for that. Like one is probably again because nothing ever interesting happens to the guy, so he has to milk literally everything that happens to him like for content for his podcast. And I think the other reason for it is like, DSP is very self-conscious about how intelligent he is perceived to be. And obviously people that do, programming, coding and stuff, those are typically pretty smart people. And so when there's a glitch or a bug in a game, that DSP like belaboring the fact that exists, it like by extension, like puts him intellectually like above the people that like caused the bug to happen, which like isn't true, but I think that's how DSP sees it in his mind, and that's why he loves doing it so much, is because anyone can point out a problem, right? Like, but to fix a problem requires like skill, and there's no way DSP could ever fix a problem like that. So like it's not true, but it feels true enough that DSP loves to do it.
More frequently, I should invest in a mod manager. Well, let's give it a shot. Let's see how it goes today. The mods work out well if I enjoy them, if you enjoy them, and if this is something that we're committing to, and like, hey, let's do the full playthrough and enjoy it, then maybe I would. All right, maybe I would. Let's check it out. Maybe other games too. Who knows what games I might play with mods. If this turns out to be a successful project and you like it and I like it, I mean, why not? I know a lot of gamers have done mods over the years, and it's part of their repertoire, what they pull out every once in a while when there's dead time. Hey, let's do a mod, right? I'm down for that, but let's see how it goes.
And we're still on mod talk.
To be like we're in the depths of hell.
Oh boy, RGB segment. I mean, we need at least one RGB segment every podcast, right? What's the pre-stream podcast without an RGB segment?
That's the first stream. Level 1 podcast, 3 hours of Dark Souls with mods, and then the DSP tries it of the California Burrito and Taco Shop, all right? Tonight,
oh boy, I hope we're all excited for the DSP tries it Taco Shop.
6 coverage. This time around, I'm either going to pick M. Bison or Blanca. I might just decide on the fly.
Okay, schedule segment part 2.
Either character I'm pretty good with, and I haven't played with them for a little bit. I'm sure I'll be rusty, but I'm sure I'll get back into it. So it should be a good time. I hope you will join me tonight for the return Friday Night Fights. 2 hours of solid online multiplayer action. Okay. By the way, thank you to Ahmed8, who just did our first contribution of the day, a $10, a 10 SAR super chat. I don't know what the heck SAR is, so please bear with me.
Okay, cashier segment.
SAR to USD. It is a Saudi Arabian ruble. Wow. That is the equivalent of $2.66, folks. So, thank you to Ahmed. He says, hey, DSP, I'm glad that I could catch up to your stream. I'm glad to have you. Welcome to the stream. I guess now we can move into our shameless, gratuitous plug segment, shall we? So, first of all, Ahmed.
And of course, anytime anyone gives DSP money, he has to use that as an opportunity to beg.
I've been on a roll this week. And what I mean by that is, this week was an incredibly well-supported week. Down into like the low to mid-30s of goals hit, up to 44. We had multiple nights this week where I was hitting 1, 2, 3 goals in one night. Thank you so much for that. First of all, just so you know, that was a great way to end December. That's going to help me out a lot because I got a good push, a good amount of support at the end of the month.
The real question is, how long is this segment going to last?
January, that's going to help tremendously. So thank you to everyone there. But
and prayer hands.
Full speed ahead. We are running to the end goal of 50. Remember, when we hit 50, we unlock 3 special things.
And you have to remember that, like, whenever DSP, like, at least goes into the what should I call it? Like not the primary, but like the keyframe begs. When he gets to the keyframe begs, like, we have to have like a recapitulation of how the goal system works and why it's better than the streak system. And then we need to also talk about like the next goal that is like on the docket, right? The closest one, so that we can convince you to keep giving him money so that he can, give you the so-called reward.
Or another great suggestion is to play Dino Crisis all day and fully experience the game for the very first time.
So we got a comment in the YouTube chat from this Sin person. How much would I have to pay hypothetically to ensure you finish Dark Souls? See, I don't know if this is a LARPer question, but it's still a very funny comment because DSP has DSP made a big, during the whole Iron Chef crash out that happened, right? He made another big segment about how you can't buy the content, right? And that's like precisely what this Sin person is asking, right? And it's not in the way of like making DSP play like a particular game. Here's a game. It's like, hey, DSP, here's a game that you have decided that you're going to play, right? If I or we, the viewers as a collective, want to see you finish the game regardless, hell or high water, how much money do we need to give you, right? And DSP, there's like no way he's going to answer this question, right? If he sees it and if he addresses it, he'll probably say something like, well, I'm going to need people are going to have to show up to the streams and they're going to have to support. And also, like, we're going to, we need to make sure that we're hitting the goals, guys. Like that's how he's going to answer that question. And that's not what this person's asking. This person wants to know, do I have to pay you $5,000 for you to finish the game, right? What is the bottom line dollar amount? And that is not something that DSP will admit to because, again, the guy sucks at video games and he is not capable of finishing games in a timely manner. So he's done things like this in the past, or similar things where he's committed to like finishing a game for a certain amount of money. A good one is the Divinity Original Sin 2 playthrough. Is a great example, right? And it's even worse because the Divinity Original Sin playthrough was prepaid, right? That was if you guys give me enough money, I will play the game that I will play and allegedly finish the game that you want me to play, right? And so that happened, and people chose Divinity Original Sin 2, right? And DSP hated that game so much that he ended up quitting the game. And he's retconned it like significantly since that's happened to say that he quit it because it was bad for the channel and like he wasn't making any money, and that is patently untrue, right? He was getting tons of money to play that game, but it was too difficult for him, and so like he just like baby raged like every time he had to play the game, and he like got frustrated, and then he decided that he wanted to quit, and then retroactively he had to come up with reasons of why why he quit the game that would shield his ego, because that's what DSP does.
Now, during various Halloween marathons, well, I guess you could also argue the Christmas marathon, because that's when I played it this year. But now it's actually on PS5 Pro with saving whenever you want. So we could actually play and save and actually do a real playthrough of the game this time. So I'd be down for any of those. Like literally any of those 4 sound good to me. But we have to decide soon, because we're rapidly approaching. It looks like next week we're going to be hitting the goal and doing a marathon probably at the end of next week. Now you might say, well, what day? I don't know yet, because I'm talking with my wife about scheduling in an extra day off for us. We haven't had a day off to spend together outside of Christmas since December like 3rd or something like that.
So I think this is a pity segment. Like DSP is talking about how he doesn't get enough time to spend with his family. And that's, you know, like while it's hidden, like it's presented as a schedule segment, it's also a you should pity me because everyone else gets to spend, as you know, plenty of time with their family and I don't.
Basically the marathon would probably end up being whatever the last day is that I stream of that week. So whether that's Thursday or Friday.
Also, I was saving this, but I think like for an appropriate time, and I think now might be the appropriate time.
We hit 50. That marathon will take place, and likely we're going to schedule it for either Friday or Saturday of next week. And not only will we be doing the gaming marathon, which is reward number 1. Reward number 2.
So we're still talking about the goals and the rewards when we hit 50 goals.
Done in a long time. Rather than it being a taste test where I rank food, instead it's just going to be my wife and I ordering from a place that likely we've eaten from before that we know we like, and me just having that meal live on stream with all of you as a hangout session. So it's very different from DSP Tries It, where I'm like rating and ranking the food. It's not really a taste test. It's more of a, I don't know, you want to call it a mukbang or whatever. That's kind of what it is. Okay.
So this is wild. Like, so the guy is a horse of a different color, let me tell you. But this is a classic the guy reward, right? So he just got done telling you that when we hit 50 goals, you're gonna have, I think he's using the phrase triple reward, and one of those rewards is that you're going to pay for food for me and my wife to eat. And you don't even get to pick the food this time, and I'm not going to review it. I'm just going to choose food that I know that I like to eat, and I'm going to let you watch me eat it on stream. Let that like take a moment and let that like internalize that thought, right? This guy is telling you that you having the privilege of watching him eat food that you pay for but don't get to choose is a reward for you. And in addition, that time that he spends, you know, fucking around door dashing this food that he wants to his house and then eating it on stream is time that he will not be playing a game, which is ostensibly the product that DSP is offering.
And then I've already proposed this, so I want to propose it again. You can suggest a kind of booze for me to try during this marathon.
Okay, so I've talked about the whole booze thing, but I just shout out to ALT's mic arm. Let the chef cook. I mentioned this username previously, but you know, referring to Iron Chef Sakai and using the phrase "let the chef cook" is very funny. This is an excellent kick chat comment. Not because it's like particularly like you know, detracting or trollish or whatever. It's just plain funny while making fun of the guy that has given DSP like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Event, okay? Whether it's some kind of a brew or a beer.
Right. And so now, you know, back on track here. Now DSP is talking about the third leg here of the reward trifecta, which is the alcohol drinking segment of the stream. You know, and you know, this is former alcoholic begging you so that you can watch him drink on stream.
For me to try during this marathon event. Okay, whether it's some kind of a brew or a beer, whether it's something hard liquor, maybe it's a mixed drink. Someone has already said, why don't I get some of those Buzz Balls, little drinks, or maybe a variety pack of something like that, because they have different ones of different flavors. And so I could maybe drink those during the course of the day while I'm doing my marathon. Yeah, I could see that. So
this is so Stacks in the YouTube chat. Oh, nice. We can watch you eat! Exclamation point. Yeah, exactly. That's the reward. I'm glad that you are excited, Stacks. Great LARPer comment.
you know,
and like that, this is how you do it, right? This is how you LARP in the DSP chat. Is this is a positive comment, right? Like you are saying something positive, and but that positive comment has distilled down the essence of the reward that DSP is trying to dangle in front of you so that you give him money into its like most basic form, which reveals how stupid it is, right? And you're pretending, presumably, that is still exciting to you, because even though you like see through the bullshit of like the way DSP is presenting this idea to you, it's absolutely beautiful.
We'll see. Maybe I'll do it so that, you know, again, similar to Christmas, every level of support, I drink one or something like that. I got to see what they've got, I guess.
Every level of support, I drink one. Does that mean every $150 you would drink one of the things that you've already been paid to drink?
Basically, this marathon's going to be great. It's going to be like next week. We just got to figure out what to do. So let's talk about it.
It's times like this I wish I had the Craig sound clip. Make it make sense.
You know, preference would either be the retro idea where we play retro games, or Dino Crisis. Like those would be the two things.
Sandpit, Thin Ice in the YouTube chat. Is it wise for a former alcoholic to be drinking? Sandpit.
Okay, so let's keep talking about it and figure it out. See, that's the thing. I didn't do a poll because sadly, every time I do a poll, the trolls just fucking skew the poll with bullshit.
I want to believe that DSP was prompted to talk about the poll because this Monty Mole person in his chat asked where the poll was for the booze. And so DSP is immediately blaming the trolls. Again, we just literally yesterday, and the day before that, we had a segment on like how, you know, the trolls are the lol cows and what they do doesn't matter. I had to sneeze again. What the trolls do doesn't matter. And how we are, you know, worthless, you know, humans, and we can do whatever we want. And that doesn't, sorry, I just bumped the shit on my mic. So I'm going to try to re-say what I was saying. So just yesterday and the day before, this guy had a big segment complaining about the trolls, right? And in that segment, he not only, you know, he said how we're lol cows and how no one cares about us and how we're not successful and blah, 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 and how the things we do can no longer affect him because, you know, he's having his resurgence and all of that. And then literally the next day, someone asks, where's the poll? And DSP immediately goes back to the well of, well, I can't do a poll because the trolls would ruin it. It's very funny.
Kind of get your idea, like your feedback on what to do. Okay, give me your opinions on this. All right. So anyway, that's going to be great. I'm excited for it.
And I guess what DSP is trying to say is that he has to have these talking sessions and like literally ask you for feedback live, because then when you type in the chat the option that you would like, then okay, I have to pause. When you type in the chat the option that you would prefer, he then has the ability to like look at your username and then judge for himself whether he thinks you're a troll or not, and then whether or not he should like consider that a true and honest vote. Like, I think that's what that segment was about. And it's really convenient for him because it wastes so much time on his podcast that he desperately needs content for. Right. So, all right. So that's what I had to say about that. But let's go back a second here.
Number to the goal and locks us in to this special.
So we're begging
at the end of the week. So let's get it going. Right. Today, hey, let's get some support. Get the momentum going. Super.
So I mentioned this before, and I'm going to say it again. The guy has taken these mannerisms from Kino Casino when it comes to asking for money. And like it or not, like, you know, you don't have to like Kino Casino. I don't watch their stuff, right? But I have seen enough clips of them when they do this exact thing that they put in like the energy that they impart in their voice when they say this kind of things. Like, that's what makes it cool, essentially, right? Like, that's what makes it somewhat excusable is that you can accept that it is a like self-aware, tongue-in-cheek begging segment when you put that level of energy into it, because they elevate their energy when they're speaking for the begging segments. And this guy is, you know, the low T god, and he, like, that is the most that is the most energy this anemic motherfucker can muster, right? And it's okay, let's get some tips, let's get some subs, couple of claps, let's move on.
Chats, super stickers, memberships, and gifted memberships on YouTube. Or subs and gifted subs over on Kick. Or tips through PayPal, which is basically third party, and anyone could do a tip. All right, let's get some names up on this leaderboard. Let's get our first sub gifter of the day over on Kick. Let's get our first tip of the day, PayPal, and let's get these starting to populate.
Yeah, why haven't you guys given me money yet? You guys know that I need the money every day, and I haven't had any of the money yet. Where is it?
Let's do it. I'm excited for this one.
You can tell how excited he is.
Can you mail me a check? You could if you're like 80 years old and you don't use the internet. I guess you could mail a check, but then you wouldn't.
Excellent LARP comment, tangy savory seasonings. Can I mail you a check?
Okay.
Also, I love the recent trend because this has been something I've noticed over the past several days I've been doing this, but I feel like it's getting like more common as time goes on here, is this begging Iron Chef Sakai to give Phil money, right? Because like all of these LARPers in chat, like they're not really going to give Phil any meaningful amount of money. So like the new way to make fun of both Phil and Iron Chef Sakai is to do exactly what Bulbasaur81 Real here is doing, is the whole ICS, please give Phil the money that he's asking for, with like, you know, the prayer hand Pepe, and it's so funny. And then Eddie Chill Real is doing like, you know, like these are not isolated incidents. It's very funny. It's very funny. Please keep doing it.
Lalafell says, I'm up for a retro marathon if it's not just playing the games again. Now that you have a PC, you should mix it up. Well, we'd have to, again, that's what I mean. Like, we'd have to figure this out. Like, what would it be? I was going to say just play it on Switch and play a bunch of them. Like, there's Ninja Gaiden, there's Mega Man. Actually, I don't think Mega Man's on the Switch, is it? I guess I would have to get one of the Mega Man collections. And if you guys wanted to do like a challenge run or whatever, I'm down for that. Like, I'm down for whatever, but we have to figure it out. And that's the thing, is like with this new system, you kind of don't know when you're going to hit the goal. And because of that, it's kind of uncertain, like how much time we have to plan. So, you know, like last week, I never would have thought that we were going to be doing the marathon this early in January.
Okay, so this is absolutely going too deep on it. But this comment from One Dumb Tractor Real, checks have a high chance of being fraudulent. Like, I don't think that's true, right? Like, yes, like wire fraud, check fraud is a thing that you can do. But but like that is very much something that you can and will go to jail for. I know DSP likes to like complain about chargebacks or whatever, but I feel like when it comes to falsifying checks, like at that point, I feel like you've kind of crossed over from. I feel like you're crossing that line from being being a silly goofy guy on the internet and charging back DSP money for the lulz. Versus like actually, you know, like DSP loves to say how, you know, having a chart, in order to charge something back, you have to claim that the purchase wasn't legitimate, and like you willingly gave me the money and you know that, and therefore you are like committing a felony, right? And like there's a lot of gray area to argue that when you're making purchases online, right? But I think when it comes to actual paper checks, I don't think there's that. I don't think you can make that argument as easily. So like and obviously like none of that I just said matters, because like One Dumb Tractor Real is obviously a LARPer, and it is just being a silly goofy guy in the Kick chat. But for whatever reason I felt compelled to say that.
Wasn't that fun? Trill's what retro marathon? I never did a retro marathon. The only time that I ever played a retro game on a marathon was a challenge run marathon. This was back when I was on Twitch, and people were wagering PNA points.
Two Hatchet Real, another LARPer, and I believe that's a founder's badge in the Kick chat. That's not a name that I recognize. I'm sure that person's been there, but another grade A LARPer name. Excellent work.
Yes, you do. You got sick last year for a retro marathon.
See, now, I've given how DSP's reacting, I feel like this Trills person probably hasn't actually given DSP any money, and so he's not willing to be charitable when it comes to interpreting, like, you know, what they're saying, or he's just having selective memory. Like, all right, so the guy's being the guy, and I have to pause again. So like, when people say they hate DSP, like this is a quintessential example of like why, right? So here's, and I don't know if this Trills person is telling the truth, but I'm inclined to believe they are because DSP, is a liar and has a selective memory. So we're going to give Trills the benefit of the gout here and say that Trills is legitimately referring to something that happened, right? That's being backed up by this Rebecca person. Still don't know if that's true or not. But let's pretend that you as the streamer are reading this comment and you're trying to address it in good faith. Like there's no way that you would pull up this question mark thing and do this whole song and dance about like stroking your chin and be like, wow, this guy's so dumb. I can't understand what he's trying to tell me. Like this is like when you just treat people like this for no discernible reason, like that is one of the many reasons that people have in order to not like you, Phil. And this and in the whole like this is one of the things that like DSP he'll never admit to doing, but like it because he's changed, but we know.
Really do this? Hold on a second. This is ridiculous. How do I not remember it? This is sounding silly. I don't believe you. Did a retro marathon?
Called the guy a liar.
Okay, when did this happen? Give me a date. I'm looking at all my playlists right now.
Okay, so it sounds like DSP's open to being corrected on this, but he wants to know the day that this thing happened. And like that's not how people's memories work when it comes to the content.
Championships, I remember playing it, but I don't remember doing it all day. You got sick and you didn't reschedule it. Wait, what? So it didn't happen? Can someone speak English in chat, please? Can someone like write in the actual English language what you're talking about? Because I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So I brought up the concept of Schrodinger's douchebag the other day doing one of these, and DSP has just done this. He has just become Schrodinger's douchebag, right? Like he has all these people in chat that are telling him that about this thing that he that something that allegedly occurred, and DSP is sitting over here, lying or not, saying that he has no recollection of this event to which chat is referring to, and so instead of just like letting it go and moving on, because he could just be like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't remember, like I don't know what you're talking about. But like if you can send me a clip or something offline, like I can address your send me a business email, with a clip or whatever to jog my memory. And like, I can address your concern about it. Right. But in the meantime, let's move on with the podcast. But instead of doing that, he says, all you people that are telling me that this is something that happened in chat, none of you are speaking English. Please speak English. Right. And which is incredibly insulting. Right. You have all these people who are presumably in good faith trying to like, give you information that's relevant to what's going on. And he's saying, I'm too confused. I'm going to insult your communication skills. And then after he's done insulting them, he hits you with the fake high pitched laugh, the ha ha ha. So that way, if anyone legitimately gets upset about being insulted in this way, he can be like, it was a joke. Can't you take a joke? And that is Schrodinger's douchebag. He's serious, but not really, but just kidding. Actually serious. So Darkside Dabbing just put a comment into the kick chat. We'll see if DSP addresses it. He's saying he's referring to a 50-goal milestone where we choose either a retro marathon, rageathon, indie marathon, etc. But I don't remember if it happened or not at DSP Gaming Reel.
Here, I'm going to literally read through all my playlists from last year. Are you ready? Street Fighter 6, Sea of Stars, Tekken 8, various playlists.
And Ends of Wind, LARPer that I've highlighted in previous, episodes of this mini series is I joy this. Well said.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth,
and I understand enough about Jade, the person that we're poking fun at with this thing, and like I have a lot of empathy for Jade, right? And so like don't take this the wrong way, but I think that at least in my head, the kind of copying some of Jade's mannerisms in the chat isn't necessarily like directly making fun of Jade for being who they are, right? And I know some people really dislike Jade, and it's like, well, you know, maybe cut the guy some slack given his life situation, like. Because like from what I've seen and heard, I wouldn't say I'm a Jade stan, but I don't have a problem with the guy. Like the guy is, you know, the guy has some physical and mental issues, right? And that are beyond his ability to control. And for whatever reason, he just latched on to this content creator, and he comes and he has a good time and he says hello to people in the chat. And then when he's done saying hello to people in the chat and having a good time, he says goodbye. Like that is his extent of involvement with DSP. I think that if any, like there was a point in time when people were tweeting at Jade's mom, and it was like, that was stupid, right? But I think that if there's anyone that you could have like even an argument for having a grievance with, it's his caretaker, like allowing him to like be involved with someone this slimy, right? But like I don't understand the hate. I don't understand the hate for Jade, and given that that's my perspective, like I don't see a problem with these kind of LARPing comments. You are free to disagree about, you know, using some of Jade's mannerisms as a LARPer, but I don't see it as like. I know that if I were doing it, I wouldn't be ill-intentioned about it, and I'm not. I don't think that Jade would take it like the wrong. I don't think Jade would take it as a knock on them, and those are, for those reasons, I feel like it's okay.
Baldur's Gate 3, Dragon's Dogma 2, Alone in the Dark, Harold Halibut, The Return to Elden Ring, Little Kitty Big City, Helldivers 2, the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, Another Crab's Treasure, a PC Indies marathon. That is not a retro marathon. It was a bunch of PC indie games. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Hades 2 Early Access, Multiverses.
So this is kind of like a history segment where DSP is just reading through all of the playthroughs he did last year because he's not remembering whatever event that his chat is trying to remind him of.
I'm reading all my playlists. What are you talking about? I knew I wasn't crazy. I'm like, what is he talking about? This literally didn't happen.
Avarice in the YouTube chat. Luckily, our entire adult life is archived on our YouTube channel. Helps us remember things. Excellent comment. Well said.
Right now. What did we do during that Indies marathon? I don't recall that. We played Pizza Tower. Oh, Pizza Tower, the Hades 2 Early Access, Noita, and Stardew Valley. And that's how I brought back Stardew Valley.
Brought back Stardew Valley, like from the dead?
The only retro thing I could think of is that there was a Ninja Gaiden run you were going to do, and that was 2 years ago, by the way. But the goal wasn't hit, so we never did it. And then there was also Chrono Trigger at one point. Yeah, that was years ago. You guys really like to confuse me. Like, You literally made me second guess myself and think that I'm crazy. You realize that, right? Like I actually legit thought that like I couldn't remember that I did a retro marathon last year.
See, okay, so hold on. So I don't have a horse in this race, but this Avarice person has made another comment. Good luck gaslighting us into marathons that didn't happen. We have an archive we can reference. So I'm not sure if this is a pro or a con. I even like forget what the last comment Avarice made was. So we're gonna unfortunately have to roll back the chat here a couple of times. Our entire adult life. Yeah, it's unclear to me whether this is in support or not for this current thing we're working through here. But in the event that this whole marathon thing that we're talking about, like if that actually was a true thing and this person has receipts for it, like the play would be to say, DSP, I think you talked about it in this video, title of video at this time, right? And I feel like I'm going too deep on this. So like, let's move on.
You literally made me second guess myself and think that I'm crazy. You realize that, right? Like I actually legit thought that like I couldn't remember that I did a retro marathon last year. So I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know? Literally what you're saying didn't even happen. Wow. Anyway, so I don't even know why we started arguing about this. So anyway, we got to figure out what we want to do for this marathon that's likely going to take place next week. Okay, later next week. And we have only about a week to figure it out. Because it's going to be Thursday or Friday of next week. We got to determine, you know, what it's going to be so we can set it and then start planning for it. Okay, so let's figure this out. I would say let's eliminate the PC-centric. I don't really care about League of Legends. Okay, just to be honest with all of you, these PC-centric games, you know, if there's new ones that come out, that's one thing. But I just don't foresee myself giving a shit about League of Legends or whatever and playing.
Watching the guy play League of Legends, I think runs the risk of actually being entertaining, because it is like one of those games that you kind of have to play on mouse and keyboard, as I recall. And like, it's one of those games that in my head has a pretty steep, like, I haven't played League of Legends. I tried it, like I downloaded it once and like never actually got like out of the tutorial to, like, I lost interest during the tutorial for the in-game tutorial before it, you know, throws you to like the unranked casual ladder or whatever. And like, I lost interest at that point, but like I've watched a lot of people who play League, like on Twitch and stuff, and I feel like it has a pretty steep learning curve. So like, given what we know about DSP's you know, physical abilities to complete button inputs, I feel like it would very quickly be really funny watching him try to play. Like, I feel like we get a whole lot of like, the game's not doing what I told it to do, and why aren't my moves coming out? And it would kind of be like a fighting game in that sense, but it would be more, I feel like it'd be way more interesting because he's on a team and not just mano a mano. And so it's like, it'd be similar to COD in the way that he has the ability to like blame his teammates for his lack of success. But like, there's no way he could pretend that he understands the game well enough that he would be like a useful teammate, even if his team was being successful. Right? Does that make sense? And I think that is a recipe for some gold dust. And it's a shame that we just won't get that content
during a marathon and even understanding it. You know what I mean? Like, if I was going to play it all day, like if it was League of Legends day and all I played was League of Legends for 8 hours so I could start to understand it, that's one thing. But like, I don't foresee myself caring about these PC, you know, I don't think that would really work too well.
So, and this is another problem that DSP has. I need to stop pausing. This is another problem that DSP has, is that he's scared. He's afraid to look like he doesn't know what he's doing. And I think that's the narcissism, right? Like most people are willing to be novices at something, right? And it's like, Jake from Adventure Time once said, the first step to being really good at something is sucking at something, right? And so most people, they have like the, what's the word for it? Like the cognitive strength to accept that for something that, like, for when they're doing something for the first time, that they're not going to be good at it. And like, that's okay to not be good at something that you're doing for the first time. Right. And so like, most people who are picking up a new genre of game that they've never played before, they're like, yeah, like, I'm not going to be any good at this. And so I'm just going to like be bad and I'm going to lose a lot. But it's okay because I'm learning. But this guy, you know, I could, you know, real talk, I'm like one of the best gamers in the country. Like, he's not willing to do that because he's a narcissist, and two, because I think that he thinks because he's a, you know, lifelong gamer that he has to be at least passable at any game that he plays. And he's afraid that he's not going to be passable at a game like League of Legends, because to my knowledge, he's not played any games like that. And so like, he's scared of as being perceived as completely incompetent. And, you know, we have to protect the ego. So that's not going to happen.
Just to be frank. Okay. But I think Dino Crisis all day would work because there's people who waited for this for years and years. And I would love to do that, to play it all day and get a big chunk into it. I think a retro marathon of classic games would work. We just have to figure out what's the best way to do it.
I feel like the Dino Crisis marathon would actually suck. That's just my gut feeling. So part of me wants it to happen just so I can see if I'm right, and two, like, if it actually sucks and DSP doesn't get money for it, it will be gold dust.
So let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Okay. Now, in addition to all of that, two big updates. Update number one, I have finished working on my year-end series. I know the top 20 most disappointing and the top 20 best playthroughs of 2024.
So when he says he's finished working on it, does that mean that the video is done? No, that means that he has made a list. And in this case, 2 lists that probably share entries because he loves to do that. This was one of the best playthroughs, but it was also one of the worst playthroughs because I am a nuanced guy and I have, I am capable of seeing both sides, and that's why I'm a chronic fence sitter. So like the video the video is not done. That means the dude sat down and turned his brain on for 3 minutes and wrote down, probably 15 games, maybe 12. 12 is probably more realistic.
I've ranked them. I have all my rationale behind it. It's all done. And I have all the video files that I need ready to go on my PC. The last piece of work I have to do is...
Okay, so I have to make a complaint here. One of DSP's mannerisms that have just been really grating me lately is how he refers to everything as a piece of something, right? He'll say a piece of feedback, a piece of content, like it's a piece of pie. And like, I am not a master of the English language. Unfortunately, it is the only language that I know, but I'm definitely absolutely no master of it. But I feel like when it comes to like the unwritten rules of like American English, like speaking American English, there are things that it's appropriate to call a piece of and things that is not inappropriate to call a piece of. And this guy, he has not picked up on that, like, that rule for native English speakers, right? Like I haven't given enough thought to figure out like how I would articulate where that line is. But if I had to take a stab at it, it's probably something is a piece of something if it is legitimately part of a larger whole and not just a discrete unit of something, right? So like I wouldn't say that. So like if I wouldn't say that like I wouldn't call an apple a piece of apple because it is a whole apple, right? But if I had sliced that apple up and had one of those slices, I would call that a piece of an apple. But like, and that's kind of like a dented example, but I think it gets the point that I'm trying to get across. And there's almost surely things that don't fit that rule, but because like he's, piece of feedback, right? It's like, well, it's not the thing you're calling a piece of feedback is not like part of a larger feedback totality, right? It is just some feedback that you've been given and he's calling it a piece. And maybe it's because I slept better last night, or I had my Wheaties this morning, but like, man, I'm just going way too deep on these dented segments.
Setting up those video files to play in OBS, and then we are ready to go with the year-end series. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start my year-end series Sunday night.
And this is also another one of those segments where DSP is preparing to do something for his content.
All right,
and before he will do that thing for his content, he has to explain to his audience all of the steps that he has to take in order to do that thing for his content, because the guy has nothing to say. And so the content is about the content.
We're going to do more Dark Souls modded run on the day stream on Sunday.
He was just checking his phone, and I'm wondering if he was checking his schedule because he forgot what he was doing. And for a guy that literally posts his schedule every day, that's quite funny.
Disappointing playthroughs countdown, and we have time. We'll just go right into the best playthroughs of 2024 countdown. But it depends, because I have 20 to talk about, so it very well be that I need 2 nights. I need Sunday night to do the most disappointing playthroughs, and then Monday night to do the best playthrough, okay? So depending on how it goes...
Yeah, he has to be looking at his schedule.
Each night. So either both...
Okay, brief break here. So I feel like if you're trying to hold a legitimate event for your audience, right? And the legitimate event in this case being the best and worst 20 playthroughs of 2024, like you don't want to like saddle that event across like, potentially multiple streams, right? Like I think that almost like 99.999% of creators that do things of this flavor, they're like, hey, this is the event that I have planned and we're going to do it on this day. We're going to start at this time and we're going to do it until it's done. Right. And that way, like, because presumably that your audience actually wants to attend that. And what you don't want to have happen, especially since, presumably this is part of some goal that the guy has cooked up, right? That you don't want to put your audience in a position where, okay, well, I'm going to clear my schedule on, this day to watch this content. And then like you get to the end, it's time for you to clock out and you go, sorry guys, we didn't have time to get to the other part that I promised you. So we'll just do it tomorrow. And then your audience is like, well, I can't be here tomorrow. Or you actually do get through all of the content and you told your audience to, hey, make sure you book out more time tomorrow in case I need it. And then like, well, I missed out on plans. Like I've already canceled plans in order to be here.
Or split, depending on time, okay? So then what we're going to do is Sunday, Dark Souls with mods and most disappointing playthrough countdown. Monday, we'll do some, I think it was Indiana Jones or Stalker 2 that I scheduled. Check. I keep forgetting my own schedule.
Okay, so he is checking his own schedule.
And then Monday night will either be the second half of my year-end stuff, or it will be Black Ops multiplayer, okay? Tuesday, here's the big announcement. Ladies and gentlemen.
Big announcement.
If all goes according to plan, which fingers crossed it does, knock on wood it does. Right now, everything's looking good, but you never know what could happen between now and Tuesday. Tuesday will be the premiere of my brand new wrestling commentary show starring myself and co-host Ashton from Kino Casino.
Let's fucking go.
In place of the Level 1 podcast.
What? Hold up. We're going to cancel an episode of the Level 1 podcast in order to have the WWE wrestling show. Let's fucking go. I was honestly considering not doing this, like not doing any more reacts to the guy, but I might have to do it for that. Like I have been so tuned out because like I don't really give a shit what the guy has going on, and I can always like look up his schedule if I need to. But I might actually have to watch the first WWE wrestling show with PPP. I call him Triple P.
Here with Kino Casino because they always broadcast at night, so we're actually going to do it earlier on in the day. So there will not be a Level 1 podcast on Tuesday. Instead, it will be the premiere of our new wrestling commentary show. Now we're talking about how to do it. I'm going to be the one broadcasting this. All right. So I'll be setting it up at, Discord and everything, and I'll be broadcasting the show. It's going to, I guess, be co-broadcast. I don't see why not. Like, I don't see a reason to only do it on YouTube or only do it on Kick. I feel like the co-broad.
One dumb tractor reel in the Kick chat. Oh, I forgot we are just money to him. Thin ice guy.
Casting is working. So I think I'm going to co-broadcast it here.
Okay. I didn't see this until after I started playing the video again, but right below one dumb tractor reel in the Kick chat, internet tough guy reel, a LARPer name I've highlighted previously in this, whatever it is that I'm doing. Is that the censored one or the other guy? And this word that's censored absolutely has to be fat. All right. If I laugh, I'm going to start coughing. So let's move on.
Well, actually, now that I said that, if it's a wrestling commentary show, it should be on my React channel. Let's be honest. We don't want it on DSP Gaming, right? So I'll co-broadcast it. It'll be live streamed on DSP Reacts, okay? But also co-streamed on my Kick channel, DSP Gaming Reel. So you're going to have both, all right? Okay? And Ashton's here. He says, it's going to be amazing. Get hype. Yes. But what we're going to do, I'm going to get Netflix and we're going to watch Monday Night Raw.
And we got Triple P in, Kino Cathedral in the YouTube chat. It's going to be amazing. 4 exclamation points, get hype. It's odd that I actually get excited for content involving DSP. Like I do get excited for like the detractors that I watch. It's really like, this is a new feeling for me to actually like want to be watching, raw fill, restream this, whatever this WWE show is going to be. I don't know if you can hear it, but I have a big smile on my face right now.
It's big premiere on Netflix on Monday night.
Ends of Wind. What about Gaming Soulmate? Well said.
On like 4.5, 5 years of wrestling that I missed out on because I haven't watched pro wrestling since 2020. So for me to actually watch a modern WWE product is going to be pretty interesting.
And this is a a segment that we literally did yesterday. We're getting the history lesson of how long DSP has watched wrestling, when he stopped watching wrestling, and the steps he needs to take in order to refamiliarize himself with current wrestling so that he can be on this show. While I'm paused, I just noticed Sarah Barclay in the YouTube chat at DSP Gaming. Please call it Smark Guys and do a tribute to Rambo Hart. Well said, Sarah. Well said.
I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. It's been so long, There were some things about WWE I like and some things I absolutely hate. But, has it changed? Everyone tells me that it's changed, that it's improved, it's a better product now.
Triple P in the chat, fuck Phil, you don't even have Netflix.
Ashton says, fuck you, Phil, you don't have Netflix. No, I don't have Netflix. No, we have Max. We have Amazon Prime Video because we have Amazon Prime.
I'm really trying not to laugh right now. That's so funny.
But I'm going to get it.
That's so funny, especially I can't pull up I can't steal the clip twice from ALT, but on the last time I did this, because again, nothing happens with the guy, so we have to reiterate the thing we said yesterday is the thing we're saying today, and so on so far as turtles all the way down. But I had to pull up the clip where Triple P is talking about how holding this dumb fuck's hand through setting up his getting set up to do the WWE champion stream with Kino Casino is so fucking hard. He sounded so defeated when he was talking about it. He said something like, unfortunately, I'll probably have to go to Phil's house and show him how to watch Netflix. He said, unfortunately, Phil doesn't know how to Google how to watch WWE. And then, and knowing with the knowledge that he said that, and then he's saying, you still don't have Netflix, what the fuck is wrong with you, it's so funny to me. It is so funny to me. I had something else. I had something else on this that I felt the need to say, but it has escaped me at the moment. If it comes back to me, then I guess we're going to be pausing again.
Okay, you know what I heard too? Someone contacted me and they said, if you get a VPN, I don't know how I would make this work, but if you get a VPN, apparently WWE, all of their content is on Netflix.
Okay, so this, he's referring to a comment that he got in his YouTube chat, and I have to sneeze. So he got a comment in his YouTube chat yesterday, and it said, Phil, did you know that if you download a VPN and get on Netflix, you can watch literally all the WWE content, from the European region, as on Netflix. You don't have to go through a bunch of different streaming services, whatever. It's all right there. And my response to that was, DSP's not going to respond to this. And of course he didn't. And if he did respond to it, DSP is not going to like this idea, because in DSP's mind, that would be that's lying, and stealing. Right. And I said it's piracy at best, or piracy at worst. But a lot of people are okay with that kind of what's the word for it? Accessing content in that way, especially if they're paying for the service, right? Licensing across the globe is a really weird, and sometimes you as a consumer, you get fucked over it. So a lot of people don't have qualms with taking those kind of actions in order to access content that if they just lived somewhere else, they would have. So region locking. Yeah. So apparently this person they felt so strongly about it, or they decided to send Phil an email. And I, at the time I said, that's how Phil's going to respond to it. And I feel like he's going to belittle the person who suggested this. And now I get to find out if I was right. Let's fucking go, bud.
If you are in Great Britain, and I guess you could use a VPN and get every WWE show through Netflix. I don't know if this is true or not.
I also said, because he still hasn't given his stance on this yet, but I also said that if you think Phil is going to install and use a VPN, I don't know what to tell you, because that's going to take 3 clicks and probably some money, and I don't think we can expect that of the guy.
I guess I'll have to try to figure it out, but I'm not going to do that now. For now.
What?
Watch Monday Night Raw.
He's gonna try to do it. Wow. Okay. I did not see that coming. Wow. Color me surprised.
And then Ashton and I are gonna do this awesome show Tuesday morning, co-broadcast on DSP Reacts and on Kick, where we're going to just talk about wrestling for a couple of hours. You know, we're going to talk about the show. We're going to go through, you know, match by match and segment by segment. And,
Kino Casino in the YouTube chat. I will walk Phil through the mystical magic of VPNs.
Okay.
Thanks, PPP.
That's the thing. Like, I need to get caught up. I just don't know about WWE today. I missed it.
Okay, so I was watching the Detractor Beam show from yesterday, and there was a comment on the show after I was watching the VOD, and there was a comment on the VOD, and someone said something to the effect of, you know, it's crazy how you think that Kino Casino is trolling Phil, and I wasn't quite sure how to take that. But I'm not but I don't think it's true to say that they are completely not trolling Phil, right? Because it's clear to me, watching, you know, kind of the more transparent moments that the Kino boys where they talk about Phil, I get the sense that they're not really a big fan of Phil, right? And the clip that I just mentioned about PPP, you know, talking about how much of a slog it was to get DSP to do literally anything, it really highlighted where I think the Kino Casino, you know, where they are with it, and so how they're choosing to manage Phil. And I don't think it's really about trolling or not trolling Phil. It's Kino identified that they have the opportunity, but to potentially make a lot of money off of DSP if they manipulate him in the right way. And I think that's really all there is to it. And they don't have to like it, and they don't have to like him, because they're trying to get money out of it. And I think that if they're pretending, if you can call pretending to like someone so that you can make money off them, if that's trolling, then I think technically that would qualify Casino as trolling Phil, right? I'm not sure that we're going to get the big rug pull. I think if we were going to get a big rug pull, it probably would have happened already. So I get the feeling that Casino, Kino Casino is in this for the longer haul, right? Phil is kind of like an asset that they're managing, and whenever they feel like the time is right, they're going to go back to that well and be like, okay, how do we get a little more content out of Phil so that we can make some money? And Phil wants to keep doing it because, man, this guy is desperate for friends, and part of me actually feels really bad for him. Not to say that he doesn't have friends because of his own, you know, his own actions, right? That's very much his fault. But it does, being lonely sucks, right? I think we can agree on that.
Like Lady Charisma just said in chat, you missed the entire Cody Rhodes, you know, rise plotline, and he's amazing now. I literally have not seen Cody Rhodes wrestle since he left WWE. He was dressed as Stardust the last time that I saw him wrestle. No exaggeration. I mean, I've seen clips of him in AEW, but I've never watched a match of his in over a decade. So yeah, this will be interesting to try to get caught up on the plot lines. I guess Roman Reigns is back, and he's a tweener now, where he's not good and he's not bad. He's kind of almost an Austin-like character. Last time I was watching WWE, no one liked Roman Reigns. They thought that he was like a crappy John Cena, and everyone hated his guts. And now I guess he had the whole tribal chief plotline. Now everyone likes him. So I mean, I'm so behind. Ashton says, no, Cody's still a jobber. He sucks. Don't let them gaslight you. Well, there you go. Again, I got to get caught up. Man. All right, well. So, on Tuesday, instead of the Level 1 podcast, we will do the new wrestling commentary show, and it will be co-broadcast at the same time that this podcast would have been broadcast, okay?
Eddie Chill Reel in the Kick Chat. Episode 1, getting Phil caught up on years of wrestling. Yep.
We can't use any WWE footage. I got to make this abundantly clear. WWE is so copyright abuse happy that if you use a fucking thumbnail on your video with a person from WWE, they'll strike your...
I really want to skip this part. I really do.
Give you some perspective. You remember June the King did a documentary on me, right? Do you remember in that documentary there was one scene where Stone Cold Steve...
Shout out to Step On Me Naga Reel in the Kick Chat. Excellent LARPer name.
So we can't use any footage. It has to just be us talking about WWE. Just like I used to do a decade ago on the Smart Guys show. We have to do that. It's ridiculous how bad they are about it. What's the point of doing a show if it immediately gets taken off the internet, right? So it's just going to be us talking about wrestling. I think it'll be fun because it's two completely different perspectives. You know, Ash has been watching the wrestling constantly. I haven't been watching any of it. So it's going to be again, I'm kind of like the straight man cold going into this, trying to re-immerse myself in the wrestling landscape while he's versed on everything. So it'll be very interesting. I'm sure there's going to be things on Raw. I'm going to be like, what?
Okay, so I'm looking at the Kick Chat, right?
like half the plot.
And I'm going to try to make this quick. So he has a mod, and I'm not being dented. It's actually a mod this time. Kyle V717 at DSP Gaming Real. You should do like Subway Surfers gameplay and talk over it. And like, it's my understanding that Subway Surfers is like, that's something that people who make TikTok videos for like the people with non-existent attention spans, like that's something that they add to the video so that you like it has more stimulation so that you watch the entire like 12-second video, right? So like the fact that his mod is asking him to play a game that is ostensibly like so surface level and give commentary over it is quite funny. Or WWE champions footage. So, okay, so he must be this guy must be talking about what to have for the visuals for the WWE show that he's doing with PPP. I call him Triple P. And this is very, very funny to me. Because even if this is like an earnest comment, like it kind of speaks to their like, you know, their mental state, so to speak. And I really don't mean that as an insult. It's just, we know some things are generally true about DSP's true and honest fans, right?
Hotlines are done. Like, remember the what were they called? The hurt business or whatever? Did they all leave? They all left, and now they're in another wrestling federation doing the same plotline.
Also, since he went on a big rant literally yesterday about WWE champions being done and dead, and like he's never going to stream it again.
I'll give you the official name and all this stuff once it's ready. I'm actually working on a few things right now that are cooking. Let's put it that way. So when I come back on Sunday, Monday, we'll talk more, and I'll give you the solid concrete details. Her business went to AEW. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the hell, man? It's so ridiculous. Anyway. It's going to be fun. Even you know, what we're curious to see is how many people are interested in the show. Because number one, obviously, people who are...
Obviously, you're going to have to support and show up and give me money.
But, you know, I had a fan base that was into pro wrestling. I did. You know,
Keena... Ashton in the YouTube chat continuing to fire off bangers. One day Phil will be able to get HBO Max, and then we can watch AEW. Well said.
Show for many years, and then I was doing the WWE Sims and everything for a long time. So will we get interest back? I don't know. See. By the way, I do have HBO Max. AEW is on HBO Max.
So
are you sure?
So I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying not to like speed run the guy's podcast this time through, right? And so that means that I can't, like, I'm not turning up the speed and I'm not skipping ahead, right? And so that like inherently requires there being more dead air, like on the video that I am making. And I don't know if that's better than how I've done it in the past, but I feel like I was missing stuff, like trying to fly through it. And I felt like I had a little bit of an excuse given how sick I was. And now that I'm feeling better, I feel like I need to like kind of get the full experience of watching the Level 1 podcast, right? And I feel like it is totally fair to have the guy at 1.25 speed. At 1.5 speed, like I could see that being a fair speed to watch the Level 1 podcast, just given how slow the guy talks and how he never has anything to say. But I'm toughing it out because I want to try it and see how this goes.
During the time when I would do the podcast, it won't interfere with my gameplay stream.
Yeah, and we're still talking about WWE show and like as an extended schedule segment.
Also, in regards to the podcast, listen, I love doing this show, but it's hard to do this show 6 days a week. It really is.
Okay. Oh my God. I know I'm going slow and I can't keep stopping, but the guy now wants you to believe how hard his life is doing the Level 1 podcast 6 days a week. I want to scream. Like this pissing me the fuck off. Like I have been bitching nonstop since I've started doing this. How asshole never has anything to say during his little podcast that he does. He insists on doing every day, and how this guy complains about how he does not have enough time to play all the games that he's supposed to be playing because he sucks at gaming and he's slow, and he wastes his fucking time doing this level 1 fucking podcast every day. And now that he has the ability to do something else that is very likely going to get him more money than the podcast, now he's telling you how it's such a burden to do the podcast every day. You guys, people have been asking you for years, even before you called it the level 1 podcast. When it was just the pre-stream podcast, people have been asking you for years to shorten the pre-stream and like get on with the gaming, right? And that's why this is one of the many reasons why I and many other detractors say that Phil doesn't like video games, right? Because it's very obvious that like the podcast is shit, and like if he loved gaming, he would just begin gaming, right? He would just do the thing that he enjoyed more than doing the podcast, right? And originally the excuse was that DSP, like he was trying to pivot out of gaming because he was worried about the like being able to do gaming content, up until the day that he dies at like 95 years old, right? And so like then he insisted on having the podcast, and that is probably a legitimate reason. Like another, I think the reason that he never bothered to articulate is because like he's the world's most special boy and he like needs the attention, and he gets more direct attention doing the podcast than he does during his gameplay streams, right? Like before he even had the camera on and he was doing his pre-stream podcast, the pre-stream was oftentimes the most attended portion of his live broadcast, because for the same reasons the level 1 podcast is now, is because if you want to come see the guy act like an animal, you had a much higher chance of him saying and doing something stupid on his pre-stream than you did during the video game. Like the video game parts, like those still happened, but like it was hard. Like it was feast, and then it was famine, right? And so like if you wanted to see that, there was plenty of good Samaritans on YouTube that would like scrub through his gaming and then cut out the parts that were actually entertaining and put it up as a compilation, right? And so now this guy is sitting here and he's telling us how hard it is to do the pre-stream podcast every day, the thing that he does zero prep work for, where he sits in his fucking jammies and fucks the camera and talks bullshit for 2 hours a day. All right, let's see how he follows that up.
Is like there's not necessarily a lot of content to cover every morning.
Oh my God, he said it. Fuck me, pissing me right the fuck off. So like there's not a lot of content. Yes, he said it. This is what we have been bitching about for years. You have nothing to say, so stop spending all this time trying to fucking say it. Like this is like, did we have a breakthrough? Obviously not, because it's the guy, but like he is dangerously close to becoming self-aware. He like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Are we entering into a new era of DSP content? Like, is it possible that the pre-stream podcast is going to go down to like 30 minutes and then he just talks in circles for 30 minutes and then the gameplay starts? Is that something that's going to happen because of the WWE Champions show? Not the Champions show, but the WWE wrestling show that he's doing with PPP. I call him Triple P.
So to have the show be something different once a week, I feel a fine idea. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, that is a fine idea, DSP.
When I have them, I got some stuff cooking, in regards to it. So I hope that you'll continue to check out the podcast here the next couple of days. I'll give you more updates. All right. And I'll just say. Okay,
so we got our friend Kyle in the Kick Chat. I feel like some days podcasts should not be swapped. Or sorry, let me start that over. I feel like some days podcasts should not be done or swapped with extra gameplay. Yes, well said.
This ahead of time to Ashton, who's in the chat. Thanks for teaming up for something cool like this. Like neither of us know how this is going to go. Obviously, it's just something completely different and outside of our company.
And I'm nervous. Make sure you're there to support me and give me money.
What's the risk? There's no risk. The show sucks and we both suck. Who cares? But I think it might be great. I think it might be really good. We'll have to see. Okay.
Learned helplessness in the kick chat. I agree.
Lady Charisma says Dynamite is their A show and it airs every Wednesday. Collision is the B show and it airs on Saturday. Okay. I don't know anything about AEW. I don't know who's in AEW. Nothing. I'm so out of the loop on all of it. So it'll be very interesting to catch up on that. Okay. I received my first tip of the day. $2. 2 buckaroos. I can't read it because I'm not scrolling. GameSpot is reporting most Xbox games are going to PlayStation today. Thoughts?
Avarice in the YouTube chat. It is hard to hold a podcast every day, but somehow we manage. Well said.
GameSpot.com.
And this is an excellent LARPing comment right here, right? Because this is DSP just got done saying how difficult it was to do this, right? And then there's this person in his chat who is presumably a LARPer has distilled that comment down to its basic essence, which reveals like how stupid like that thing is, and has reiterated it in the chat. So DSP just can't like get mad at someone for saying this, but it just highlights like how stupid the guy is. It's beautiful. Well said, Avarice.
A new Guitar Hero Wii controller has been announced. Path of Exile 2 Best Warrior Build Guide. Marvel Rivals Strategist Tier List. One Rise of the Golden Idol Dev is making a new idol-like. Call of Duty patch notes. Pokemon Go. Games done quick. What are you talking about? Seriously, like, you do realize that now I have a modern setup. Like, I can check everything immediately, right? Like what you're saying. Like, what are you talking about?
And now we're back to talking about how great our setup is and making people feel bad.
Down to a day ago. There's nothing on GameSpot about what you're talking about.
Step on me, Naga, real. Ban that guy for spreading misinformation. What a dunce. Well said, step on me, Naga, real.
That's the second person. First, someone told me I did a retro marathon.
All right, I'm starting to think this Kyle fella might be a detractor.
And now someone tells me complete fake news.
I gotta go back because I don't remember what he said. So again, the Kick Chat mod, Kyle V717. Phil still owes Jade his B-Day game of Street Fighter 6 Lamau. Thin ice, Kyle, thin ice. You wouldn't happen to be a troll, would you? ALT's mic arm reel. Yeah, sometimes there's just not enough to talk about. It ends up being a daily wrap of the daily wrap. Well said, ALT's mic arm reel.
I actually second guess myself, and now someone tells me complete fake news. Like, anyway, alrighty, well, that was fun. Okay, so, all right, so folks, that's what I had for today. Like, those are the topics that I had. Schedule-wise, this week you'll see the continuation of Dark Souls with mods, as long as you guys like it and I like it and we're having a good time with it. Indiana Jones and Stalk.
Okay, so are we going to end the podcast? I feel like we have not been podcasting long enough. So I suspect we're going to have a Q&A segment quite shortly here.
Like, those are the main focuses.
Maybe we're gonna fuck around more with the mods. I don't know which would be worse. Probably the mods, because it's just gonna be a lot of him like I fucking the chat and not knowing what to do.
Now, because I'm doing my year-end series and because I'm starting a wrestling commentary show, this may mess with the schedule a bit. But for the most part, we're gonna try to continue on with everything. There will be late night streams of things such as Call of Duty, probably some Street Fighter.
Okay, and again, I'm pausing, but I said earlier on this podcast how like when you're doing a special event, you know, the whole best and worst playthroughs of 2024 thing that DSP is doing, how you don't want to like saddle that across potentially like multiple streams, right? You either want to say for sure we're going to do it on 2 or we're for sure going to do it on 1. And now, but because he's done it that way, like he can't, you know, he that's why I feel like that's why the Triple P thing is happening on Tuesday, right? Because that you know, it's Sunday or Sunday and Monday for the recap thing DSP's doing, and so that means that we have to do the Triple P thing on Tuesday because we might need time on Monday to do the other thing, right? So, but that's exactly what you should be doing. Is you should say like that. That's how you do it. It's like, hey, this is a big deal and it's happening. Get hyped for it. It's happening for sure at this day, at this time. Be there or be square.
The one thing in jeopardy this week, quite frankly, would probably be like Flight Sim. I don't know if we'll do Flight Sim this week. Maybe the thing.
Oh no, not Flight Sim.
Like, I've been enjoying Balatro, the Coin Game, and Killer Frequency, but because we got this new stuff going on this week, it's maybe the week where we skip some of that. All right. but should be still. It's good.
I don't think I've shouted out this LARPer name before, but Daily Cool 2 Packs in the Kick Chat, excellent name.
Going to either be a 5 or 6 day streaming week. That depends on if I take Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday off of next week, and I'll let you know when I figure that out with my wife, and we'll go from there. Okay? There you go. All right, folks, that's what I got. So I'll open up chat to a little bit of Q&A. If you guys want to chat and talk.
Okay, Q&A, perfect.
Any discussion about what you guys feel are hot topics or whatever today?
I've been very much trying not to peek ahead. I want to know how much Q&A we have, so.
Thank you in advance. I would say for the premiere of Dark Souls, remastered, Age of Sunlight mods, let's hit the goal today, right? Let's hit this.
Okay, so we end about 1:20.
Get closer to the marathon, shall we?
So we have approximately 40 minutes of Q&A to get through.
In the chat, let's see what's on everyone's mind. Am I still doing DS politics? I am, as I said, I put it on hiatus for good reason. I feel like the big topics that we're going to want to talk about.
And we're talking about DS politics.
News about politics and
such as Q&A, dude.
Show, but I'm not seeing anything that's truly like that interesting or riveting to really discuss. I feel like once Trump gets in office, you're going to immediately see crap hitting the fan. You're going to.
This is such bullshit.
Interesting to do. When we do that, okay? So I'm going to bring it back probably later this month.
Like the problem, so DSP's made this comment several times regarding the DS politics show. But it's like there's people that do like literally only politics shows, and presumably those people find ways to take even these, quote dead news cycles and like make some interesting content during that time. And DSP just doesn't have the talent to do that, and so he's just not been doing the show, right? Like if he was serious about getting DS politics off the ground, like he should be trying to grind that. But given how he just got done complaining about how hard it is to do the podcast every day, where he can literally talk about anything he wants and talks about nothing 90% of the time, it just shows that he's not capable of doing something like that. And then we got PPP in the chat. Don't worry, Phil. Once Trump gets in, we will do DSPP politics, and I will show you how to grift right wingers.
I'll give you a chance.
Honestly, if that's a legitimate offer from Ashton, like tip of the hat to him, because dragging Phil through content has to not be fun, right? Like maybe you can make it fun. I didn't watch any of the collabs he did with Kino Casino, but I feel like that has the potential to actually be like really hard work, right? Like I feel like the stuff that Kino Casino do, like presumably Ashton and Worski have like good chemistry, and like it is work for them, right? That's how they make their living, but they work together well, and so it's not like arduous work, right? They don't hate every moment that they're doing it. But when you're collaborating with DSP, there's the potential that you're going to hate like every moment that you're doing it. And so like, if that's a legitimate like offer from PPP, like that's kind of a big deal, right?
This is a pure speculation article with no facts. Listen to this. Sturkin Toto of Cont Games believes Microsoft will lean further into this year. 2025 might be the year where they go all in. The 69 billion Activision Blizzard deal. What about it? There's literally no information. This is the most horrible fluff piece I've ever seen in my life.
This guy talking about fluff content.
Cont Games, everyone knows.
Peak self-awareness here.
Microsoft may bring their games to PS5. Okay. It's not even like there's not even any news there. That's not even a news article. That's what we call in the industry a fluff piece. When you have nothing to talk about, you have a slow news day.
Those of us in the industry call that a fluff piece. What industry are you in, dude? Like, you're all of what you do is fluff. And you can be charitable, and I think it is charity to say that the gameplay is not fluff, because like you actually do tend to accomplish things during the gameplay. But like the podcast is fluff, dude. Like pot calling the kettle black right here.
You talk to the guy from Cont Games, and he says, "Hey, did you hear? I heard Master Chief is gay." And then they do an article about it. Master Chief may be gay. Wow.
And I think we see Schrodinger's asshole at play again here. He made a joke at the expense of like, LGBT people, and then he puts the little fake laugh at the end of it because it was quote unquote just a joke, but like not really, just kidding. It's for real.
You know that Master Chief and the Arbiter were secretly putting their hands down each other's.
Yeah, so now we're getting more like, you know, homophobic content from the guy. So that's really cool and chill. Cool, chill vibes from the Ally streamer. Although I can't be fucked to watch the slideshow, but it's from what I hear, he has removed the Proud Ally slide from the slideshow. So and that might have been, it's completely possible that the Kino guys told him that he should do that because it is not based to be an ally. And like, that's not why we're here. We're not here to discuss, you know, that whole, like the whole political thing about it. But it's like, it strikes me as highly likely that if Kino Casino told Phil that he should take that slide out, he would absolutely take it out in a heartbeat because, as I said previously, the guy has no principles, right? Obviously, he's a liar and a scammer, but like whenever he thinks he can find a way to benefit like himself, like he has no problem like retconning his stance on stuff, right? Like, it's my opinion that DSP has never been an ally, and he, like, you know, when it was like in vogue to like show support for the LGBT community, like that's when DSP added the Proud Ally slide to his thing, because he thought that would like get him more viewers and like earn him some clout, and like that would like, ultimately it was to benefit him, right? He, at the end of the day, he thought that would get him more viewers and more money. And now that like he hasn't, you know, now that he has the opportunity to get more viewers and more money, like with his current situation, like that was immediately, you know, get out of here, right? I'm done with it. And that's what I mean when I say DSP has no principles, right? Like the guy, obviously he's so wishy-washy, and he will tie his boat to, you know, whatever ship he thinks is leaving the harbor. It doesn't matter.
If I spend $20 a month, I might not be able to afford the games for the month. I don't know how.
And just to reiterate, it's not about like the quality of like the stances that he's adopting. It's the fact that he is willing to change his stance, right? At the drop of a hat for the potential of getting more money.
Obviously, I'll get it. I wonder if there's anything else on Netflix to watch. I haven't had it in years. The last time I had Netflix was the Stranger Things season, where it was the summertime and they all worked at the mall. I don't know what season that was, but that's the last time I had Netflix. If I don't get the 4K plan, then the raw reviews will be a lie. How can we know you saw it properly? Actually, I don't even know what resolution my phone does. I have no clue what
he's watching it on his phone. My brother, is that not a 4K television that you have like in the office? Like, you're not going to watch it on your 4K TV?
I certainly don't want to watch it with ads. That's going to drive me fucking nuts. To watch shit on, you know, with ads. Oh, that will kill me. So I'm going to get the one that's ad free. Gotta go ad free. Yeah, can you imagine with ads?
And I don't know. So Ashton's still in the chat. We could just pirate the shit on watch wrestling sites. Are you actually going to watch Raw on your phone? And he's like incredulous. I don't know if this is like new news, if that's a genuine reaction from Ashton, but I think it's funny either way.
Will Raw not have commercial breaks still? See, that's a good question. How is Raw airing on Netflix? That's actually a legit question.
So we're back to the kick chat, and I'm gonna keep this brief because we got some time to go here. But you know, our mod Kyle V717 is reiterating the talk about, you know, dropping the podcast on certain days for additional gameplay. And I made the comment on like a previous episode of this that like that's kind of how that's one of the tells you can get between like the LARPers and the Dents, I think. And that might not be applicable because Kyle as a mod and therefore has like a higher protected status than like your typical LARPer does. But like typically, like it's been, from what I can tell, and you know, maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems to me that when like DSP's legitimate fans have a concern about something, typically they end up, and so they tag DSP, they raise the concern, and then if DSP doesn't address it, they bring it back up again, right? And so like that's kind of one of the things that kind of convinced me that Sarah Barclay was not a true and honest fan, is that Sarah Barclay does not tend to do that, right? And here we're seeing that kind of behavior from Kyle, so who knows?
Because Raw is a live broadcast. So if you're watching the live broadcast on Netflix, what happens during the ad breaks? Are they going to still run commercial breaks? Because wouldn't the commercial breaks be different depending on where you are in the world? The live feed is still going to have ads? Oh, wow. Well, I'm probably never going to watch it live. I'll always watch the on-demand right after. They already have live football games on Netflix, and they have ads. Lady Charisma says the matches are going to still be going on, and they're going to have segments in front of the live crowd. Would that be in the replay, or are they going to skip that in the replay? This is going to be fascinating, actually. Okay, now I'm interested in this a lot because I want to know how they're going to pull this off.
So this whole like DSP doesn't understand how something works, and he could very like, you know, it, like most people I think would just like open another tab and ask, you know, type into Google and to find the answer to this question. But DSP can't and or won't do that, and also needs content to pad his podcast. Because remember, we have like something like 30 minutes of Q&A that we have to get through. So he's just gonna like ask the chat and like openly wonder about this thing that would be very trivial, presumably to Google and find out. But he's not gonna do that because he's the guy.
Wrestling, and people are now upset because of it. So let me get this straight. They went from regular TV to Max and on-demand service, and when they went to Max, they cut content out. That's genius. Make people pay for your TV show, but then cut content out and don't deliver the same product. That's genius level stuff right there.
Okay. It's because they don't have street smarts, DSP.
Nice. I received a $20 tip this morning. So this is the same person with the article, says, I'm sorry for the prior $2 stuff regarding the article. I want to know what you thought of it. It's a fluff piece. Like, there's been rumors that Microsoft is going to take all their games to PlayStation for ages. And in fact,
we're back on the fluff piece article from earlier because the Dent gave him another $2 to respond to it.
Outright bold-faced lie. But it's speculation. It could happen. It might not. Until there's a word officially from someone who's, you know, like Phil Spencer. If Phil Spencer comes out and says, we've decided we're going to port all our games now, right? Okay. But outside of that, it's literally all a waste of time. Why listen to some guy from Cont Games?
So I'm not, okay, I'm pausing again. So I'm not like saying that the article is actually, you know, meaningful in any way that he's read, but DSP's response to this, like that whole thing of, well, nothing is certain until we get like an official press release, like it really highlights a point that I made previously on a different episode of the Prestream podcast here, was that DSP has this fixation on appealing to authority, right? And so like this is like, so if there was some truth to that, you know, that article that the Dent had asked DSP to read, right? Like it's presumably some of that evidence is detailed in the article, right? And you know, and oftentimes it's, you know, when you're reading a piece like that, it'll say things like sources close to say that this is, you know, something they're considering doing, right? So it's not that they're baseless, it's just not confirmed, right? But DSP, because he has this fixation on authority, he's like, well, I don't care about any of that stuff because until I see it in an official press release, it may as well not matter. And like, that's just factually not true, right? There's been lots of times when like information has been leaked or there have been, you know, industry experts say that things will be going in this direction, and then that turns out to be true. So like it's really silly to just completely like devalue all of the content that isn't based on an official press release. Like I think like again, DSP has this weird appeal to authority thing going on, but I think it's also he just doesn't want to spend any additional brain power than he needs to. So rather than like reading the article and trying to figure out what this claim is being based on, and like, oh, I don't know who this guy is, this Tauntaun Gaming or whatever it is, like, I don't know who that is, so I'm gonna like look up about that because maybe this person like has some inside information, and obviously they can't reveal their sources. So like, I need to determine if that person is a how reliable how much weight I should put on to what this person's saying. He just goes, well, Microsoft didn't say it officially, so I don't give a shit. Let's move on. Thanks for the $4, right?
Tauntaun Games. The fuck is that? I don't care what I don't care if the guy from Tauntaun Games wipes his ass a certain way. Who gives a shit what he does?
Yeah, it's because you don't know who he is. Like, he might actually have some information, and you didn't bother to find out if he was potentially a reliable source.
This is the article that they're putting out. It's like, dude, we all know that there's rumors that Microsoft might have their game on Sony console. We don't need you to write an article about it that has absolutely no facts, no substance, and no corroboration. You're just writing an article for the sake of having another article on your site. It's fucking fluff.
And like, I made this point the last time we talked about the Tauntaun Games article, but the whole, like, that's exactly what you do, DSP. That's exactly what you've been doing all day on the Level 1 podcast. I don't think any of the information that you shared today was new. Like, you did give us dates for the best and worst playthroughs thing, but like, you've been talking about that for like 2 days now, 3 days now. And the WWE thing, I think you've been talking about for a week, right? Like, none of that's really new information. You just finally solidified some dates, right? So we spent an hour talking about these things, and you could have said everything that you had said in basically a minute or two, right? Hey, I've been talking about the WWE thing. That's happening Tuesday instead of the Prestream podcast. Also, I've determined that I'm going to do the best and worst lists. I'm going to do that, Sunday and Monday before. Boom, done. Like, that's literally all of the useful information that DSP has shared. And like, I have more thoughts on this and I want to keep sharing them, but I feel like I should continue playing the video before I start talking again. Okay, so it's right back into dead air, and we're talking about movies we can watch on Netflix. So the other thing that DSP does, and I am so dented because I literally forgot the thing that I was going to say. So I guess we're just going to have to sit here and listen to the guy some more. I should have said it while I was thinking about it.
Ralph Macchio.
And staring at chat, still staring at chat. A little laugh, not reading out what he read.
Phil reviews all Netflix content. Yes. Now, the thing is, I don't have a lot of time. I'll have time to watch Raw. I'll have time to watch.
This dude is so busy, you have no idea.
Like I said, I don't want a wrestling commentary show to become so demanding on my life that I have to sit here watching 10 wrestling shows a week.
I can't do work, guys. I can't do it.
I would, but it's like, no views. No one really cared. When I was doing reviews in 2023, videos were getting like 1,000 views, 2,000 views. I was paying like $5. Like, so let me pump out all this content instead of the content that makes me money and people watch. Let me do this other content instead.
It's always been about the money, always will be about the money.
I'll do the wrestling show. I think it's an interesting idea and it might actually get some traction, but I don't just want to sit around reviewing stuff constantly when I could be on stream doing stuff that you guys actually want to see. I find it odd that that WWE, they had WWE Network, right? And literally all the content was there.
Oh, the urge to skip is really rising up within me.
Still all there. And then they decided, after heavily pushing it for 5 years, they just decided they wanted to get rid of it. And they did. And then they ended up selling it to other places. You know what I mean? That was so weird because I thought that would be it. They'd want to do that forever. They'd want to do their own network that's on demand or whatever. And then they just gave up on it. Because I had it. And then I canceled it. And then they canceled the whole network anyway. It's so weird.
Oh, this is so boring. DSP, move on with it.
Because right now, if I wanted to watch SmackDown, how would I even do it? What is SmackDown on?
Remember that time that Triple P said that DSP was incapable of Googling how to watch wrestling?
Will I play games in the future? Absolutely not. I'm done with games. Games are the past. Sitting here gabbing with you guys about what's on Netflix is it's SmackDown.
Did he burp mid-word, or did his mic cut out?
SmackDown's been on USA for a while now. Oh, I've never seen it on USA. I didn't even know.
All right, I'm actually gonna pause the thing and I'm gonna pause the recording because I just need to like stand up for a second and walk around. So I will return shortly and maybe I'll remember that thing that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I've heard that outside.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that I remembered that thing that I wanted to say. So I was talking about DSP and his like weird appeal to authority complex that he has. And previously I've talked about how like, you know, I get this vibe that DSP is one of those like as a kid, like, cause he complains about fairness, how things are unfair a lot. Right. And like, that got me thinking, like I was watching some of the previous videos back cause I was trying to like put some timestamps in because let's be face it, like I'm not really doing anything super special here. And if people did want to watch it, the timestamps might like help them out. Right. And I'm watching it back and he goes on all these rants about like fairness. And that's nothing new for DSP, but it's something that I hadn't really thought that hard about until like I started doing this. And I had like made some fan fictions about how like DSP as a child, right? Like he always had, you know, obviously DSP's been really sheltered and he's had a lot of things in life just handed to him. And it occurred to me that like probably DSP, like a lot of DSP's behaviors are because of that, right? And let me expand on that a little bit because I'm not saying it like well, right? So you know, so DSP, like he likes to complain how things aren't fair, right? And I think that's because in the past, right, like when he was a kid especially, like if he was ever in a situation where he felt he was being treated unfairly, all he had to do was complain enough, and eventually an authority figure would show up and give him what he wanted to get him to shut up, right? Because that's unfortunately like that's oftentimes like the quickest path to getting the kid to stop being annoying is just give them what they want, and that's one of the things that makes parenting hard, right? So like that's why I think that's one of the reasons why DSP has this weird appeal to authority, because throughout his entire life, that's how he got his problem solved. He would throw his hands up and say, this isn't fair and you need to make it fair because I deserve to be treated fairly. And like when you're dealing with kids, like to some extent, like you kind of have to like give them that, right? Because you're protecting them from like the harsh reality of the world. And that's important to give a kid like some of that nurturing and protection. It's just that as they grow up, you have to lower those shields a little bit, because you're not equipping, if you treat them with the kid gloves their entire life, you have not properly equipped them to navigate the world. And I don't think that Dave and Linda did that for DSP, right? So there's that. The other thing is like oftentimes like when he meets resistance, he immediately talks about like how upset he is, how mad he is, whatever. And occasionally when he does admit to like making a mistake or doing something wrong, he often says I got too emotional. I was so mad that this happened that I made the wrong move, right? When he was fucking with his OBS yesterday, like that was his immediate knee-jerk excuse was, OBS fucked up. I made this eensy weensy oopsie poopsie, right? And I got so mad that I wasn't able to fix it, right? And so now you need to fix it for me. And like that's another one of these like hyper adolescent like excuses that you use to get your way when you're a kid, right? Like because you can imagine being in the position of like you're a little kid, right? And you're obviously frustrated because you have a problem that you are not capable of solving because you're a little kid, right? And so then your parent or your school teacher, whoever, an authority figure, identifies that you have kind of met your match with whatever it is you're dealing with, and so they intervene, right? And they provide the solution to you, and then immediately you start feeling better because you know the burden of solving this unsolvable problem has been lifted from your shoulders, right? And like that's like a completely normal, natural thing to do. However, as kids get older, right, they identify, like, because kids are smart, like they identify that this is a way that they can kind of like get what they want, right? So they will you'll see kids pretend to have a problem that's too hard for them to solve in the hopes that you will solve the problem for them. Like you can pretend or imagine like you had schoolwork to do, right? And you were a kid, but you weren't like a little kid, right? And so you're sitting at the kitchen table and you have math homework to do, right? And you're like, and your parent is there, and you know they're reading the newspaper or whatever, but they're like close at hand because they want to like help you along, but they still want you to solve the problem, right? And so then you're like, okay, I'm bored, I don't want to do this anymore, like this is hard but is within my ability to do, but I just don't want to do this anymore, right? And so then you pretend, all right, DSP's hyperfixating. And like, so then you pretend that this is like too hard of you've come across a problem that's too hard for you to solve. And you go, Mom, Dad, I just can't do this. It's too hard. And then your parents go, oh, well, what part are you getting stuck on? And then you don't have a part that you're getting stuck on because you're not stuck. You just don't want to do it anymore. And you say, it's just too tough and I'm too tired and I'm mad and I'm pissed off and I can't do this anymore. Right. And so like, you could imagine, like, as a kid, like you're trying to get away with not putting in the work, right? You're trying to abuse like your child, like you being a child, and to get out of the work that's been assigned to you, right? And so it's your job as a parent to like help your kid through those moments and help them like knuckle down and like actually solve the problem, right? And so like maybe an appropriate way to like deal with a kid who's behaving that way is like have them take a break, have them come back and say, okay, we're gonna take 30 minutes, go run around a little bit, come back, and we're gonna start on this problem. And then they sit down and they're like, okay, I'm back. I feel better. I still don't want to do this. And you're like, okay, well, what's the first step? Talk me through it. Like explain to me how you're gonna solve this problem or how I would solve this problem. And so then the kid like tells you the first step and you're like, okay, well, what do I do next? And so like you just kind of like participating through it and kind of like, tugging them along and giving them encouragement as they solve the problem, that pulls that out of them and gets them to actually do the problem. So you're not actually doing anything. You're not actually really helping them, but you are helping them on an emotional level, right? Clearly, that's not something that's happened for this guy, right? We're tying it back to DSP, right? Anytime that he's been in a position where he's legitimately frustrated or not, he just throws up his hands and goes, "I'm done with this. I'm sick of it. I'm pissed off. Someone else solve this problem for me." Mommy or daddy or whoever would step in and just solve the problem instead of like dealing with Phil and like making him do the things he's supposed to do. And it makes me think that DSP might have been like emotionally neglected as a child, because if your parents are emotionally neglectful, like I could see that as something that happens is they're like, look, I don't care about you. I just want you to shut up and be quiet. So I'm just going to give you what you want. And so now we have, 40 odd year old man DSP here who like has trouble regulating his emotions because he was never put in a position where he needed to regulate his emotions. Right. And he still has these adolescent tactics of like getting people to bail him out of situations that he could solve, but he has the learned hopelessness from being in the situations of appealing to authority. Right. So this is, I think a lot of these pieces kind of fit together if you stand back and look at it. So, this is why like DSP is constantly trying to appeal to authority figures, right? And to take it a step further, it's like, okay, well now DSP is an adult, right? He doesn't have an authority figure to appeal to. So whenever he meets resistance, the only thing he can do is yell to the void, i.e. the public, i.e. his chat. So like if you look back on the history of DSP, right? Whenever he's met some resistance, like I was watching, I think it was ALT today, and it was the DSP timeline thing that ALT did. I still haven't made my way all the way through it, but one of the bits that ALT started out with, big ups ALT, was the time that DSP got like fired from blip.tv, right? And so DSP got this email from Blip and they're saying, hey, like you violated our terms of service. Our decision is final. You're out. And DSP was like, okay, well, I'm going to write them an email and see if they reconsider. And then they didn't reconsider because their decision was final. And so because DSP didn't have an authority to appeal to, but he felt he was being treated unfairly, he then ran to his audience and said, this is what's happened to me. And the implication is that you guys should like go do something about it. Either stop watching Blip TV or like send them emails and tell them that they made a mistake, whatever. And even in that email to the guy at Blip TV, he was like, hey, I was going to work with, I think it was Angry Video Game Nerd. It was like or Guy with the Glasses Productions. It was Blip TV's like top person at the time. He's like, hey, I'm in talks to work with this person and you're just going to kick me off. Are you going to explain that to them and like risk pissing them off? Like that's how DSP operates, right? So you have a person who's never learned to really control his emotions, and has never been and has always been in positions where making enough noise and appealing to authority always got him what he wanted, and now he doesn't have an authority to appeal to, and no one really cares about all his bitching that he does, and that's why you see so much behavior from this guy. And I think that covers it. And unfortunately, I had to stop because we're obviously up to no good, and now I need to roll back and see what we were actually talking about. So here we go.
About it and talk about it endlessly, like, oh, Bill would clear his throat or he had mannerisms or whatever.
This is probably the start of it.
I know, isn't it funny? So Daily Cool 2-packs over on Kick says, no talking. Instead, run your hands through your hair and give them a powerful throat clear. Yeah, it's like the little innocuous things that I do, my mannerisms or whatever, become these topics of hyper-focused obsession.
And the fact that DSP hasn't immediately identified that as a LARPer name and therefore hasn't immediately identified this comment as bait is very funny.
For people on the internet, right? Like, oh, Bill would clear his throat, or he has to snort, you know, or he runs his hands through his hair all the time. It's like, and you don't have a point. You just
this is like one of DSP's like new favorite tactics is like whenever someone calls him out for anything, like legitimate or not, like his response is just to go, and what's it matter? No one's going to hold me accountable. Right. Like it's really funny. It's very funny.
Hyper fixate on,
because like legitimately it would be better if we didn't have to listen to DSP clear his throat and snort into the mic, right? Like that would make the content better, right? But that would imply that DSP is doing something wrong, and his ego will not allow him to like accept that criticism with grace, because it's too much work for him to mute his mic when he's going to snort or clear his throat, right?
Something and talk about it endlessly. That's not important to anyone. All right. Hear what I just said?
I mean, it might be important to your viewers that are legitimately trying to enjoy your content, and taking out the, like, you know, audio is like 90% of a video, right? Like having good audio is way more important than having good video. Like if you can have a great quality video, if it's bad audio, it's unwatchable, right? And this is an extension of that, right? So like it would legitimately make your content more enjoyable for the people that enjoy your content. So like why this is a hill we choose to die on, I mean, I would say it's beyond me, but for the guy, it's because it requires more effort and he's not willing to put in more effort.
Hyper fixate on something that's mundane and arbitrary and normal, and you act like it's important. Did you hear what I just said? I said you hyper.
Okay, so this is really funny. Is he thought he hit the hotkey to bring up this screen, and like the input didn't register. Dropped the input, dude. And so then he had to, like, when he saw that it didn't, he had to hit it again and then like say again what he was saying.
Fixate on something and you can't stop obsessing about it. You hyper fixate on something and you can't stop obsessing about it. I think there's a word for that.
He has been loving doing this as well, and it's really stupid, right? Like obviously this is a jab at his detractors, and he's trying to he's insinuating that they are like autistic or otherwise mentally deficient, because, like, you know, in DSP's head, you know, autism means that you hyperfixate on things, right? Like, and that's not entirely untrue. Like autistic people have special interests, right? But like, so DSP, instead of just being like, ha ha, like my detractors are all autists, like he thinks he can like get around that by being sneaky and using the word hyperfixate 5 times, and then like eye fucking his camera and just being like, you guys know what I mean, right? Like wink wink. And it's like, dude, this is not subtle at all. And like, I don't know if that makes it like morally better or morally worse.
Anyway, Sin, thank you for a $5 super chat. I love you. I'm new to you, but I know that all through the lore, I hate your bullies. I know it's hard for you to trust people.
And then, and like I said, we got the class. Like this is like the 4th or 5th time we've got the Schrodinger's douchebag thing where he does that, and he, like, you know, makes fun of people with with neurodivergent people, and then it follows it up with the fake laugh, so that it was a joke this whole time, so you can't be mad about it. But I'm actually being honest, like for real.
I'm genuine. Well, thank you. Yeah, listen, here's the deal. I don't really care about those idiots anymore. I've paid no attention to them for months, and all the better. There's absolutely no.
Don't forget, he pays no attention to the trolls. They do not affect him in any way.
Social weirdos on the internet do. They're not like us, normal fucking people. So let them.
Calling yourself and the true and honest fans that watch your content, like, what did he say? Like, real honest people. That might be, like, at least for you, DSP, that is absolutely a stretch. And ALT's mic arm in the kick chat is just kind of like saying the quiet part out loud, right? Like, he said, is hyperfixate autism, right? And I think the translation is, when you say hyperfixate, do you mean autism? And like, yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Do what they want, and they can blow it out their ass. We're having a good time on stream every day, right? And that's all that matters. So thank you for the $5 super chat. You're now the top super chatter. Got you up there on the leaderboard. I should do the whole stream like that, where I'll just do this. Should I do an entire stream just transitioning through all these different scenes? Maybe if I did that, if I just get to...
This is also coming from the guy that has like hyper fixates on the RGB lighting, right? And can I just say, it bothers me how he says RGBs. Like, I feel like that's probably an okay way to refer to it, but I just really hate calling them RGBs. Like, it's either RGB or RGB lighting, right?
So much that someone did like an 80-part documentary. Is that true? I can't imagine anyone caring about Chris Chan from
June catching strays in the kick chat. Remember when June said that all of us DSP fans are special? Seriously, that guy has hyperfixation. Well said, the crusty ant. Excellent LARPer name. And dead air. I kind of regret like pausing the stream so that I could go back and respond to that Dented segment.
Like, for me, and this is me, and you guys can completely disagree, and I get it. I'm different than a lot of you. I'm probably older than a lot of you. Maybe that's what it is. But, like, when it comes...
You are different. You are built different, DSP. Are we getting a history lesson?
Initial information about a certain person and the silly situations that they get themselves into or whatever. But it's like, okay, I'll listen to this topic once or twice. Once I get to, like, the third time, I'm like, I'm not interested anyway. It was funny to laugh the first couple times, but then it's like, you get kind of tired of it, right? For me, and that's why, and Ash, I've said this before, this is why I got to give you and Andy credit. I could never do that show that you guys do. Like, I would want to talk about someone once or twice, and then I would want to immediately move on to someone else. I can't go back to the same people over and over. Like, it just gets so boring to me. Like, Rich, Review Tech, it was fun in the summer.
See, this is really funny because DSP does not realize that the whole, like, content farming activity that he is describing that Kino Casino does, like, going back to that old well, is exactly what they're doing for DSP, except they're doing it by like collaborating with him rather than just reacting to his videos. And the fact that he can't see it is very funny.
I'm so not wired like that. I don't care about the guy. It's like every time you tell me about a new embarrassing moment, I want less to do with him. I don't care about this guy, Yeah, I did hear this, that apparently Review Tech is saying he's going to tattoo my face on his ass. Did you hear what I said?
Happy to see Spicy Latina Too Chubby Real is still active in the kick chat.
You're going to do it. Don't just do that. Everyone has done the ass cheeks. You got to put it on your testicles, all right?
And now we're talking about cock and balls.
You know that you're a tough guy, all right? Unreal.
Giga Gamer 22, so glad our streamer isn't into drama. Well said.
Henkert says, you do realize if you play Dark Souls with mods, you can get banned. What mods you play?
Good night, all, and Andy. Excellent LARPer name.
I'm playing it offline so that we don't get into trouble, with their online service. Listen, I don't want to violate their online terms of service. That's why, I'm not cheating the game. I'm just trying to have a different experience.
And dead air. I'm really trying not to skip. I really am.
In my career,
history lesson.
I stand by my own morals, my own moral code.
Okay, so DSP is going to tell you like how principled of a guy he is, and I literally had a segment on this stream explaining how he does not have principles. So like keep that in mind. Like remember that whatever he's about to tell you is bullshit.
And that's hurt me a lot over the year. Let's be honest here. If I years ago, decade ago, jumped on every bandwagon, and basically did everything that everyone else was doing, right? If I was doing the clickbait thumbnails, if I was taking the sponsorship deals, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would have been a lot more popular and a lot more prominent, and I would have made a lot more money, but I wanted to be okay with me and the content that I put out there. And, you know, staying true to myself or whatever, I definitely feel like, I don't know, like I could sleep at night, but at the same time, it definitely hurt the pocketbook and, you know, with all the shit that I went through for a decade there. But that's just how I've always been. You know what I mean? Like,
No, you've just always been lazy and defiant.
I kept getting offered, you know what it was? It was all those indie game companies, very desperate to get their games advertised. Like every other day, I'd be getting an offer for, like, no exaggeration, like $500 to $1,000. They'd be like, hey, please play our game on your stream. Do like
This is tough to watch. How much time we got left?
check and do this, brought to you by this. I never did a single one. I didn't want to become that sellout guy, you know, the shill. I never wanted to, you know, and people, oh, you eBay. Yeah, but when I eBay, right, I'm saying support the content.
Oh my God, do we really have half an hour? We do. 20 minutes? Okay. All right. Time to lock in.
And literally never gave you a discount. Instead, it was hiding discounts from you that everyone else was getting. And then they were stealing everyone's referral sales revenue for the past 5 years. You know, I've never done any of that. I never had any intention to ever do anything. I never wanted to become a product shill here to make the bag. You know, I mean,
He totally did do that though. Like DSP wants you to forget the whole, like, the beanbag chair and the gamer chair and the loot crate things that he did. Like he doesn't want you to remember that he absolutely did shill products.
content and show what you.
And like, we know that he shilled products because he there's a video of him reviewing the beanbag chair that he got for free as part of a sponsorship deal, and he goes on and on about how great the beanbag chair is, and then as soon as like that they drop him or whatever, he starts talking about how shitty the beanbag chair was. And this is coming from, you know, the most honest guy on the internet, our boy DSP.
Guys, and be real. What about the chair? What do you mean? That
Harvey Dented in the kick chat, e-begging is much better than sponsorships for real. Well said.
I was going to talk about the chairs on air for a bit. When the chair arrived, I was going to do an honest review, and then you were going to know if the chair was good or not, and the company was okay with that. To be frank, that company was lucky that we didn't do that agreement, because that chair sucks. That chair within
I got to internalize this comment from Narwhal Gaming XP. Honestly, other content creators also emotionally blackmail and do other scummy stuff that you don't do. Yeah, I can't think of a single time that DSP has emotionally blackmailed any of his audience. That's sarcasm.
few months of me owning it.
Oh, and Spicy Latina Too Chubby Real, but I bought the beanbag chair you supported. I'm felted. Well said, Spicy Latina Too Chubby Real. DSP's going to ignore it. I guarantee it. There's no way he's addressing that.
Thank you for another $2 super chat. They said, I agree. I'm proud of you for real. Well, thank you. So, I mean, let's be honest. So what would you prefer? Let's be real honest here. What would you prefer? That on a stream, I remind everyone that you could support this stream via various methods like super chats, memberships, subs, tips. We have goals, and the goals lead to rewards for you guys like marathons and DSP Tries It and viewer choice events. Would you prefer that? Or would you prefer that 5 times during this podcast, I have to do a gratuitous plug for a product, that we have leaderboards blinking, big ads all around the screen for toothbrushes, for razors to shave your balls, for, you know, ridiculous products that have absolutely nothing.
Some of the kick chat messages are just gold dust today.
And I think the show would be awful. Really, I think that it would be crap.
This is not an original thought. Like, this is something that detractors have been saying for a while now, but like, DSP doesn't, he likes to pretend, especially in current day, that him begging and quote unquote reminding people how they can give him money is not advertisement, and it absolutely is, right? Like, the only difference here is that if you have a sponsorship, then you don't actually have, like, you can do the ad read and then it's over, right? But like, the ad reads are never over for you, right? And so you still have to do the ad read, but instead of like getting the money from the sponsorship, your audience has to pay you the money. So you're kind of double dipping on the audience, right? Like for a sponsorship, all the audience has to do is listen to the ad, right? You say the ad is over, and then you get paid, and then we all move on. But in DSP's world, it's better to not do that. Instead, it's better to guilt trip his audience into giving him money, so that like, you know, the money has to actually come out of the physical pockets of the people that watch him, rather than some corporation that is paying for advertisement. That and which one of those two things is better? I think the answer is obvious.
I don't want to do that, you know? Ashton says, I will secure good sponsorships. We're going to shill vitamins and gold and boner pills. Yeah, what is that one where they're like, put your money into gold? What? Put your money into gold. It's 2025, and people actually think it's a good idea to take your money and put it into gold. But people chill it. And
imagine getting investment advice from the guy. How wild is that?
Then did another $5 super chat. He said, I would prefer you had more real viewers than trolls, and you got support that you deserve. Thank you for not doing corporate sellout stuff. Thank you. You could get the gold sponsorship? Oh, God. Dude, I can't be doing that stuff. Put your money into gold. No, really. It's going to work out for you and not the company. Yeah, of course it secures against inflation. Of course it does, right?
Yeah, Phil has no idea what that means, PPP. PPP said that gold secures against inflation. Like, I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm not hip. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. I'm not hip enough to like I understand that gold is an investment that you can make, and I am just not hip enough to the personal finance scene to like understand if what PPP has said is like true or not. But like there are reasons to invest in gold. Like there's reasons why people invest in precious metals, right? And like, but I guarantee you that like Phil has no idea what this means. Phil is absolutely clueless, and so he's just chosen to interpret it as Kino being tongue in cheek, and he's just rolling with it.
You know, those ones that are all completely unique and different from each other and deliver a truly unique meal experience for a good value. And by the way, the food's so healthy, right? Yes, they're all the best one. Every single one is the best one. Oh, excuse me, only the one that I got the sponsorship from is the best one. Emergency prep kits for end times. Oh God, I haven't even seen that one yet. That's one now too.
I'm really struggling to make it through the last like 15 minutes here.
AliExpress. I think I've seen that. AliExpress.
Oh, we suffering so much.
Easy online shopping. Promotions on clothing, electronics, sports, and more. Oh boy, so they add that advertise that one too, huh? What is that, like Temu? You see now, Ash, and here we go. This is the mentality that a lot of people go with. Ash, of course, he's over exaggerating, but he says, "Who cares if it's a scam? Idiots buy anything. We can spend money better than they can." But and see, I could do that. No, really, I could, but I would much rather be like, "Hey, listen, here's content you enjoy. Support it via these methods. Yeah, I'm going to shill a bit during my stream. I'm going to ask for contributions. I'm going to e-beg, but that's because I'm bringing you content you like. And by the way, that means if I'm bringing you content you don't like, tell me, and then I'll change it up." That's what when people say wage quit a game, I'm like, what do you fuck?
Okay, so we're on the precipice of another wage quit segment, and I talked about that the first time he brought it up. I think it was 2 days ago on the 1st, but it was on the 1st or the 31st. I can't remember, but like DSP is just outright admitting to being an e-beggar and a shill for himself, right? And like, which is quite funny because as of like 6 months ago, like that's not something DSP would ever admit to, right? Because he understands those are like bad labels. And I had somewhere I was going with this, but basically I forget, but basically the guy is trying to convince you that him e-begging you is better. Oh, I remember. So like the thing, like there's a false equivalency that Phil is making here, right? So like he's claiming that that you like the content, and so he e-begs you so that you can pay him for the content, and that's okay because you like the content. And it's like, well, no, that's not true, right? For legitimate grassroots support of like online content creators. They that's true. People like the content, and then they pay for the content that they like, but without the e-begging, without the manipulation. And that's the part that people have had a problem with and will continue to have a problem with as long as you continue to e-beg. And it's really transparent how all of your content is about making money.
Fucking stupid. People are paying me to make content they enjoy. If they're not enjoying it, they won't financially support it. Then I should do something else.
Yeah, again, that's true without the emotional manipulation for the money.
Do what people want, right? There's nothing wrong with wage quitting because you're trying. The whole idea of business is to make a product people want to consume. Okay, so in this regard,
he's so close to getting that he's not entertaining. He's so close, and it will never happen.
It makes sense because I'm saying, hey, here's the content you like. Support the content.
He's repeating himself.
Crap you don't want or like, right? I don't need you to buy toothbrushes. I don't need you to buy, ass scrubbers and,
And see, that's the thing is like most people who watch content creators online, we get that like it's part of the new normal. Like if you have a YouTube creator that you really like, odds are really, really good that they're not big enough that they can't not have a sponsorship, right? They're going to have to take some sponsorships to like, make a little money so that maybe someday they can retire or like pay for upgrades for their studios, right? Like, so we as viewers, like we're savvy enough that like, okay, we understand that this is a reality of being in this business on YouTube. So like, yeah, say the line, like give us the promo and then you get paid and we just all move on. And I guess it's probably better that DSP doesn't have sponsorships because like imagine sponsoring this guy and having to deal with that nightmare. But two, like, the begging wouldn't stop, right? Like it's very much a part of like his personality at this point. It's very much ingrained in the fabric of who he is. So even if he had sponsorships, he would just continue to beg because it's like habit. And we've seen that. Like even when he was getting like unimaginable amounts of support, like during the highest points of like the vest streaks and the Kino Casino arc, he was like still begging because he can't separate his content from the emotional manipulation for you to give him money. He is not capable of doing it.
Here that LTG has finally moved out of Section 8 housing. Maybe if he did the collab stream with you like a man, he could have moved out of there 6 months ago.
And we're LTG segment.
He's a bum.
LTG lives rent free in your head. Mr. Work on your sexy, and now I'm wearing my pop collar sweater without an undershirt.
Talking with no one, just talking to like his ball suckers. That's like.
Okay, and so this is wild. DSP just said that no one watches LT. Like LTG has no one to talk to in his chat other than his ball suckers, and it's like, bro, where do you think you are right now?
Like literally, that's who he is. He's please sycophants, please just keep kissing my ass and sending me stuff, and meanwhile he's sitting in a fucking, a crappy bedroom that looks terrible.
He's in a crappy bedroom. He doesn't have an awesome setup like me, you guys.
No, I don't do any of those things. I don't live in a bubble.
I don't live in a bubble. Okay. Mr. I only leave my house once a week to get groceries. Does not live in a bubble.
Thinks he's God's gift to the world.
Mr. The only person I've talked, like I don't talk to anyone in person outside of my wife, does not live in a bubble. Okay, sure. Like we're coping right now. We are coping so hard. And like it's funny. Like it is funny. It would be even funnier if it wasn't kind of sad. Okay, all right. Sarah Barclay, at Kino Cathedral. Phil leaves his house once a week, so you cannot say he lives in a bubble. That's very funny because like it was literally yesterday or the day before, Sarah Barclay was asked DSP if he only leaves his house once a week, and like incredulously, and DSP was like, yeah, I work here 6 days a week full time, dumb fuck. And so now to follow it up the next day with he doesn't live in a bubble because he leaves his house once a week. It's beautiful. Sarah Barclay is really a talented LARPer. I don't think you should give DSP money, but like hats off to Sarah Barclay for just walking that fucking line and also making me laugh.
Is he still playing Tekken 8 and losing his mind? That's hilarious. He bought a house with another man. Oh, interesting. Will it be his manservant? Will he have a live-in manservant? He's gonna be like Bruce Wayne. Well, indeed, I am very jealous of Dale's crispy jawline. That's correct. Wait, who's Dale? I don't know who that is. Never heard of that name before.
Very funny, DSP. Keep up the good work. So I think that DSP's chat is trying to bait him into making some like homophobic comments, and I don't think DSP doesn't want to get felted by LTG again. So I think he's given that a pretty wide berth.
Let's stop talking about him.
Yeah, he doesn't care about LTG, you guys. He doesn't care.
101 has to be $10.80. How about investing some money into stocks? Maybe if you have a friend that is experienced in the market, you can make some decent money. I'm getting to the point now. Excuse me. I'm getting to the point now where, since now I have finally finished upgrading my setup, and I'll be honest, I don't really have much else to invest into the setup. Like I said, maybe eventually upgrading my chair or my TV. But outside of that,
and we're back to setup talk. Like it's wild to me that somehow this guy has managed to wring $44 out of people for this shit podcast. Like especially when he admitted that he doesn't ever have anything to say on his podcast. People are like, "Oh, yeah, Phil, we don't care that the podcast is boring. Here's $40."
If I can maintain how I'm doing, which, you know, it's kind
of... Yeah, if you keep giving me money, I can do whatever we want as long as you keep giving me money.
So if I can keep going how I'm going, then probably within, you know, the first few months of the year, perhaps I could actually have some money for investments and the like, but I guess we'll see. It depends on how things go.
Yeah, I can invest. Just make sure you don't stop giving me money.
Oh, I know. I should have a cat tower in my background for a cat that never shows up, right? The phantom cat that doesn't exist.
It would be really funny if the LARPers were like kind of took this idea about getting DSP an investment account to like the level where like they start talking, like, just don't do this, right? But talk about like opening an investment account like on Phil's behalf, like tell Phil that you're considering like opening an investment account and then like putting a trust in his name, and that you're gonna, like, instead of donating to Phil, you're gonna donate to the, like, you're gonna put money in the investment account, and then like have the investment like management company mail Phil like the receipt, right? So that he can tell that he's getting these contributions. And then and you can do it as like a really positive, like, yeah, Phil, this is going to really help when you like want to retire and you're looking to get out of streaming, because like we love your streams, but like, let's be real here. You're not going to be streaming for another 40, 50 years. Like, this is really going to help when it comes time for, you to pivot to, like, when you have to stream less or whatever. And then all this money is going to be sitting there and you don't even have to manage it. In fact, like, you can't even touch it until the trust is up, right? Like that, I feel like that has the potential to get under his skin like so hard. He's going to be so mad that you're giving him money, but he can't have it now. Like, this is the guy that has like harped on and on about like instant gratification. The dude has no capacity to delay gratification. So it has the potential to be really funny. And if you can get like 3 or 4 LARPers in the chat, like someone to suggest something like that, someone to refine on that idea, and then a couple people to like bounce, just talk about it a little bit and talk about how it sounds like a good idea and how they want to do it, that has the potential to really get Phil going.
I hope you try all 3 and Elden Ring as well. They have some great mods. Best regards from Hankster. Thank you, Hankster. I am very much looking forward to these mods. I hope that
One Dumb Tractor Reel in the kick chat. Never he's too stupid to think about retirement. Thin ice, buddy. Thin ice. You're lucky our mod Kyle V717 is not there.
PS5 Pro, it kind of makes you crave for something different. And it's like, well, what can we do? Well, Dark Souls, all 3 games are modded on PC, with all these different tweaks and things. Like, makes sense. So let's hope it goes well. I hope it goes well. And I would love to do more stuff with mods in the future. See, that's really the difference. When you have a gaming PC like this, it's opening up endless possibilities of content. It really is. Like, I can play retro games. I can play modded.
So we're back to setup again, and we're talking about how great everything is. And I love my life. I love my wife. I'm not having a midlife crisis, you guys. And we're staring at chat. And dead air, dead air. To there. Unfortunately, I kind of like said everything I wanted to say.
Merch on there or something?
And we're Googling something. So Kino Casino in his YouTube chat was saying something about like flying Phil up to Niagara Falls so that they can party together. There is 0% chance that'll happen. Like DSP does not see people in real life. I think the only person that did that was Mike Klum, right? Like, and like as long as you're giving and I think DSP only did that because like he thought he was going to get a lot of money off the Mike Klum documentary, like the new audience it was going to give him, and he already has the money from Kino Casino. So like there's no way that he's going to like go to Niagara Falls and like have to be physically with the people from the internet. Like he's not going to do it, especially because like I suspect that Kino, like, I guess I don't really know much about Kino Casino, but I think they went to Vegas. Was it they went to Vegas recently and there was some scandal involving Andy Worski? Like, if they legitimately like do like to gamble and party and stuff, like that is not the life. Like DSP gambles on his phone. Like that's how he's comfortable gambling. Like, and he's married, dude. Like he has a wife. Like there's no way he's gonna like go to a strip club at a casino or whatever and like be in that den of sin as a good Catholic boy. Like that's just not going to happen.
I don't know why, because I have nothing to do with it. DSP is a kind of digital signal processing, so it probably relates to that because they sell those kind of peripherals.
We're really dragging here. How are we coming close? I feel like we are dangerously close. We are dangerously close. We're in the home stretch. We can power through.
There's shirts? Oh, I didn't see shirts. It didn't come up. All I saw was like peripherals, gaming peripherals. Well, I have my own merch store.
So there's a guy in the Kick chat like telling DSP to sue this company, this data streamer processor people, whatever he said. I don't care, but like saying you should sue them so you can make bank. Like that's like, I get it's a LARP. It's just really not funny. Like DSP has threatened to sell stuff or has threatened to like sue people, and he always appends it with, but I'm too poor to do that, so I'm not going to do it. Like, that's what he's going to say. Like there's no point in saying that, and it's really not funny. Like I get what you're trying to do, and like credit for trying, but
That I just launched on the channel a couple days ago as a hoodie or a sweatshirt.
what do you mean? That's not a new logo. You didn't launch it a couple days ago.
Deluxe edition, level 1 podcast mug, guaranteed to enhance the flavor of the beverage within asterisk.
All right, so we got another shill segment, and like it's okay, guys, because he said that he was going to shills, right? But like, here's the thing: is like you have to sit through the ad and listen to the product placement, but he only gets money if you give him the money. So like you sat through the ad, like you've done your part as the viewer watching the ad, but in order for him to get the benefit, you have to go to darksidephil.shop and spend your money on this garbage so that he can have the money. And like, that's the part that doesn't square. Like it's wild.
It helps out my streams and my content. Maybe it'll help improve this AI filter so that my head won't be phased out by my microphone. So the guy's dented. We know that, right? He's an idiot, but he's just, he's doing the Schrodinger's douchebag thing again. And he just said, and it's probably because the guy just, he just says stuff, right? But he just said that if you give him money, maybe and this is supposed to be tongue in cheek, that will improve the AI so that the microphone doesn't phase out his head. So what he's saying is that he wants the AI to be able to take the microphone when it is eclipsing his face. Because he's dented, when it's eclipsing his face, he wants the AI to remove the microphone and then put the pixels back so that his face is like intact. Like the dude's clueless. Check it out. No, do wear it outside. Wear it outside 100%. At all times, wear it. Wear it to your baby shower. Wear it to weddings. Wear it to funerals. Wear it everywhere. It's in vogue, as they say. There you go. You better. If you don't, I'll end up out here in the Andes Mountains freezing my ass off.
Yeah, and we're back in the mountains after a scene transition. So I was thinking about it. I was thinking about the whole dented scene transition thing, and I think what it is that he has like the background removal and the scene transition, like, and the level 1 podcast what's it called, frame. He has those set to different hotkeys, right? So whenever he transitions from the level 1 podcast scene to the to like the game scene, he has to manually one hotkey is the transition from one scene to the other scene, and then one hotkey enables or disables the background removal tool, right? And he has his OBS set up so that when he is not in the gaming scene and he's in the podcast scene, if he has the background removal tool active, it puts him in the mountains, right? So rather than like having the tool like baked into the scene, he has it as a separate hotkey, right? And so that's why whenever he does this transition, he has to manually disable or enable the background removal tool, and it's really stupid. Like, that should just be something that he could figure out, right? And he never, like, he'll never change it, right? Because he cares so little about the quality of his content.
It's an AI powered thing. I think it's only.
And I think we're squinting at the preview monitor across the room right now, and that's why he was like, checking for the corner demon.
You just turn it on and off, and you can tweak the level of how much it works.
So we're in the mountains again. I think this is just the second time, but like, it's hard to count. Like, I'm not adding it to the counter because I think he did it on purpose.
Various different backgrounds. Like.
Oh, we're getting a tour of the background removal tool. God damn it.
President of the United States of America.
This is really how we're spending our time together here.
It's the wrong time of year.
And of course, this is a segment that we've already done, right? Like, this is a recycled segment, but like, someone must have asked about like how he does the background change thing, and of course DSP has to explain it because the guy never has anything to talk about, right? Like, it's like, that's just the world we're living in, because guys, doing the podcast every day is hard, and I don't always have things to talk about during the podcast, right? Like, it's tough. It's been tough.
I told you guys this. I didn't even know I had it. I had no idea.
Wait, the guy was ignorant of something? Color me surprised.
Oh, 0. And then someone's like, yeah, just add the filter. You have it. I was like, what? And I added it. I'm like, what the hell? This is like really good. I could use this for all my gameplay. What the hell?
I've said this previously on a different React, but like, that's one of the problems with the guy is he has no curiosity, right? Like,
but just doing this during,
like, if the guy was not so isolated, he would have, and even then, like, that, so that's not true. Scratch that. If the guy had an ounce of inquisitiveness, right? Like, there's content creators that he watches, like, without a doubt, that do chroma key out their backgrounds, right? Like, so like, he knows that technology exists, and if he just had that spark, right, he could say, oh, I wonder how they do that, right? And then he might, like, that might lead him to a Google search where he spends maybe 5 minutes, like, not just reading like what is on the Google results page and not clicking any links. And then he would find out about, oh, there's this NVIDIA removal, background removal tool. Well, don't I have an NVIDIA GPU? I wonder if I have that. And he could have just like organically figured this out with a minimum of like 10 minutes of work. But like, that's the problem. It was a non-zero amount of effort. So it took someone telling him that was something that he can and should do, and how to do it before he even tried to do it. And that's the guy. That's how he is.
Show starts Tuesday. It'll be in place of this podcast. It'll be co-streamed both on DSP React.
So we're repeating the schedule segment that we've already said like 3 times.
There's a marathon coming up. Once we hit 50 goals.
And sneak bag.
We're probably going to keep hitting these goals at least once a day the next few streaming days. So probably we'll be doing that marathon at the end of this coming week. And if we do, all we got to figure out at this point is what's the theme? What's the theme of the marathon? Do we want retro games? Do we want Rageathon? Or do we want Dino Crisis all day? Okay, so that's like the 3 big themes of today. Takeaways. Thank you all for chilling with me. I hope that you enjoyed the show. But now it is on to try out Dark Souls with mods. So thank you all for chilling on the Level 1 podcast.
Thank God. What a bear this was.
How today went with Dark Souls with mods.
All right, I bumped my mic.
Sunday we're gonna have.
So my eyes hurt, and I don't know if it's because I've been staring at my computer screen for far too long, but this was such a bear. But I have to pat myself on the back for not skipping through and for not speeding the guy up more. We're still at 1 1/4 times speed, which I think is perfectly fair. but there's so we're gonna do what we've been doing, and we're gonna sit through like the bag, the bathroom break, and then we're gone.
Around the bush here. So I was trying to think with the Dark Souls heads up, like the heads up display, the HUD. There's nothing in the bottom right corner, right? I think your souls are upper right. Your energy bar and everything is upper left. So I think I could put my camera in the bottom right and it would be fine.
Why are you asking your chat? Just boot the game and find out, dude. Like you could just boot the game, put the camera where it needs to go, and then you could go on your bathroom break.
You'll be able to see me better than when I've been playing PC keyboard mouse stuff. Yes, the show is fully pre-recorded. That's correct. Fully pre-recorded. Will our show be weekly? Whoa. It's like, the idea is that we're going to cover Monday Night Raw every week, and then if they have a big, like a pay-per-view event or whatever, that we'd be covering that too. And then, and then we'll see. Like, I had no clue that AEW was on Max. I learned that literally this morning.
Yeah, because you're clueless. Because you don't know anything unless someone explicitly tells you.
Which is funny, when AEW started, everyone said it was better than WWE, but I mean, that was like years ago.
All right, I know I said I wanted to wait for the bathroom break, but I'm really struggling. Okay, we are so okay. We didn't get a bag? Is he gone? I really don't want to rewind, but I want to know if he...
On the bottom right? Oh, shit. Oh, I might have to move my camera then. It's fine if I have to. All right, hold on.
Oh, hold on. So he's getting his controller. That's got to be what it is. He's getting his controller because he's such a fucking idiot. He keeps his controllers underneath his TV rather than at his desk where he needs them to do his job. So whenever he actually is ready to start playing the game, he has to stand up and go get his controller from the charging rack and then come sit back down. Yep, there's the controller.
I'll be facing the TV, so I got to get the mic adjusted a little bit here.
And now we're fucking with the mic again.
My face. Hold on.
He's an animal. Like he's just an animal.
It's not bad. It's actually a pretty good position for it right here. Turn a little bit more, like just directly right in my face here, I guess. They say with this style of mic, the closer to your face, the better. But I don't want to like right in my face because then it'll be on.
He's so dented.
That's pretty good. It's like right there. Cool.
PPP, I call him Triple P, begging on behalf of Phil.
But together, we need 200K from you guys to get it off the ground. Support generously. Only a very reasonable $200,000 for the WrestleMania trip. Yes.
All right, let's wrap it up, DSP.
So when I went to WrestleMania over a decade
and history lesson.
2013. It was either 2012 or 2013.
I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. This guy lives in the past because nothing interesting ever happens to him. So whenever he has to talk about anything, it always starts with a history lesson.
I don't know how I still get the years confused, but so I got the seats that were near ringside, not exactly at ringside, but the one section back from ringside. We were basically like, for example, when the Shield came in, they walked literally right by us in the aisle. We were like, holy shit, that was cool. Okay. So they were ground level. Ring level, but they weren't exactly ringside. They were like a couple, sections back. Those were nearly $2,000 each, and that was over a decade ago. So now with inflation and everything, I'm sure the tickets are like ridiculously over the top expensive. Yes, it's Dark Souls time, but I need to take a leak and everything.
Yep, got to use the bathroom, Drew. That's seltzer water.
5 minutes, and I'll be back, and we'll begin with gameplay about 3 hours. All right.
Beg.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Great show, and I'll be right back with Dark Souls with mods, okay? But enjoy the clips in the meantime. All right.
Now this is unfair. Look how many enemies are fighting me right now. What the?
And then he's got to get out of his chair really carefully. So, and this is one of, okay, so we're done, right? So we don't, all right, he's still here. We got the ghost hand to DSP. All right, now, I think now he's gone for real. All right, so okay, I'm ready to go. Okay, so this is something that DSP does like every day when he's playing his games, right? So he finishes the pre-stream podcast, and then he has to stand up to get his controller from the shelf so that he can like start the game, right? So he gets up, gets the controller, he sits back down, and then he goes, okay, guys, Usually he sneaks in a bag. We didn't get like a pre-bathroom bag today, and maybe it's because he got like $50 odd on the pre-stream, or maybe it's just because he was too distracted and forgot to do it. But so he gets up, grabs the controller, sits back down, then typically beg, and then, all right, guys, I got to use the bathroom, stands back up and then walks out of the room. Like why can't you just grab the controller on your way back from the bathroom, right? Why is this a part that we have to subject our audience to? Just, it's one of the many things that the guy does that there is no explanation for. All right. Well, anyways, I think that's enough for me. I have certainly had enough. Oh my God, I didn't realize this was almost 3 hours long. All right, I'm gonna go. If you sat through all of this, I'm sorry that you did, but hopefully you enjoyed it for whatever reason. Big ups to all the detractors, and I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this. Like I said, I might have to tune in for the Tuesday thing. I probably won't be like live like I did this one like pretty after the fact. I was working on some other stuff when DSP actually went live with the podcast, so I couldn't watch it in like real time. But I might actually have to come back, regardless if I'm going to keep doing this in the future, just for the WWE champion or the WWE show with Triple P, just because like that has the opportunity to have some real gold dust in it. So, anyways, if you watched it, thanks for watching, and maybe we'll see you in the next one.